Oh crap, I forgot to hit play and we're live.
We're in the midst of a trust crisis in the world of media, which is because so many in the legacy media have lied in order to preserve left-leaning narratives. To take just the most recent example, we were told by the legacy media that President Biden was just fine. For years, anyone who questioned his health and mental fitness was trafficking in cheap fakes. And then President Biden went out and engaged in a full-scale mental collapse on stage in front of hundreds of millions of people. So we can see why Americans, at least Americans who are not Democrats, do not trust the media. The question isn't really why the legacy media have lost Americans' trust. We know that answer. The question is why, despite that loss of trust, the legacy media continue to gain share in the advertising market. And the answer is simple. There is, in fact, an informal pressure system created by Democratic legislators, this White House, legacy media, advertisers, and pseudo-objective brand safety organizations. That system guarantees that advertising dollars flow only to left-wing media brands. Let me explain how this works. When a conservative competitor to the legacy media arises, members of that legacy media and their political allies rush to paint such competitors as dangerous. The commentator Kara Swisher of the New York Times, for example, told the head of YouTube that my videos at Daily Wire were a, quote, gateway drug that would lead children, including her own teenage son, to watch neo-Nazi content. Never mind the yarmulke. Elected Democrats pick up that same messaging. In 2017, Senator Dianne Feinstein told lawyers at Facebook, Google, and Twitter, quote, you created these platforms and now they're being misused, and you have to be the ones to do something about it, or we will. Social media companies react to incentive structures, including threats. They've responded by adopting the standards of third-party left-wing informational safety groups like the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, or GARM. GARM purportedly sets brand safety standards, objective standards by which advertisers and platforms can supposedly determine just what sort of content ought to be deemed safe for advertising. In reality, GARM acts as a cartel. Its members account for 90% of ad spending in the United States, almost $1 trillion. In other words, if you're not getting ad dollars from GARM members, it's nearly impossible to run an ad-based business. And if you're not following their preferred political narratives, the ones that Kara Swisher and Dianne Feinstein would follow, you will not be deemed brand safe. Your business will be throttled. We at Daily Wire have experienced this firsthand. In 2017, after Senator Feinstein made her threats to bring the weight of government down on social media platforms, Daily Wire YouTube channel saw a 1,000% increase in content enforcements over a 2-year period. Since 2021, after Democrat officials further turned up the heat on social media companies, my personal Facebook page has seen an over 80% drop in impressions. Or take Joe Rogan. When Joe said that he had taken ivermectin after getting COVID, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki pressured Spotify to take action, stating, quote, we want every platform to be doing more to call out mis- and disinformation while also uplifting accurate information. Spotify complied. Spotify, of course, works with GARM. So what are the brand safety standards that GARM uses? The standards begin with inarguable things that we've heard from the other witnesses, like preventing distribution of child sexual abuse material or stopping terrorism. But GARM doesn't draw the line at what is criminal, abusive, or dangerous.
I just want to highlight, Ben Shapiro might be the only other person on the internet that you do not have to speed up to 1.5 or 2 in order to listen to. This is regular speed, people. One day, Ben and I will have an intellectual wrap-off, not like a Tom McDonald wrap-off because I don't rap like that, but I'll follow the chat and you'll let me know how the audio is because I'm using the built-in mic on this camera because as you can see, I'm not in a basement, I'm not in an office. On the road, baby, to the Toronto event with Rebel News, and then off to Milwaukee for the RNC. We're going to play this out because this is, it will not be news to anybody who has been around my channel for more than 6 months. Going back, by the way, life can only be understood backwards. I go back periodically to my YouTube playlist called YouTube Chicanery because I started discovering this back in 2018.
Their standards also include restrictions on hate speech, harassment, misinformation, or my personal favorite, insensitive, irresponsible, and harmful treatment of debated sensitive social issues. Those criteria are highly subjective in theory, and they are purely partisan in practice. For example, last year, Daily Wire host Matt Walsh was fully demonetized on YouTube, a GARM member. Why? For quote-unquote misgendering, which to GARM is to say that men are not women. Perfectly obvious facts now run afoul of GARM's censorship standards. Companies targeted by GARM, like the Daily Wire, Breitbart, Fox News, and so many others, reach hundreds of millions of people with opinions and beliefs long established as within the mainstream of American conservative thought. GARM and its members have no respect for the beliefs of those people. They would like them marginalized or squashed. It's time to stand up for the First Amendment in this Congress. Congress can do so in 2 ways. First, Congress must investigate the informal and perhaps formal arrangements between censorship cartels like GARM and executive branch agencies. The Daily Wire has already filed a federal lawsuit against the State Department for allegedly doing just this.
But by the way, it's going to actually tie very well into NewsGuard type agencies. But now that we've had the lack of standing determination by SCOTUS in the Biden versus Missouri, good luck establishing standing in any such claim. I'm going to pull up the NewsGuard thing because, oh geez, PragerU just posted something earlier. Let's finish this out because it's amazing. It's not news to anybody who's been around the block.
Congress can itself stop engaging in violation of free speech principles. 2 weeks ago, writing a dissent in Murphy versus Missouri, Justice Alito condemned what he called sophisticated and coercive government campaigns against free speech. Members of this committee have engaged in precisely such campaigns. When Congressman Schiff speaks about targeting social media companies that must be, quote, pulled and dragged into this era of corporate responsibility because they are too tolerant of misinformation, he knows what he is doing. He is participating in a sophisticated, coercive campaign against free speech. When Congresswoman Jayapal blames social media for placing America at the, quote, precipice of a democratic crisis and calls on them to target they deem hate groups, she also knows what she is doing. She is participating in a sophisticated, coercive campaign against free speech. When Congressman Hank Johnson says, quote, we need a constitutional amendment to allow the legislature to control the so-called free speech rights of corporations, he also knows what he is doing. We all know what these government actors, but some people in this room are doing. You're using the tacit threat of government action to compel private companies to throttle viewpoints you don't particularly like.
Well, not just that, incidentally, and it's an amazing contradiction, is that they want to protect and enshrine the free speech rights of platforms that are not supposed to be exercising editorial curating in what they allow on their platforms under, Section 230 immunity that's given to them. So long as they police for unlawful activity without curating, they're not responsible for the content on their platforms. So they want to retain the right to censor as they so choose because of their free speech rights, while protected nonetheless with Section 230 immunity. So they would basically want their cake and they want to eat it too. They want to suck and they want to blow. They want to flip and they want to flop at the same time. Gotta like Ben Shapiro, even if we don't agree on everything and he's made some big mistakes on some things, he's a smart guy.
The First Amendment was not designed to enable workarounds by elected official. It was directed at Congress, at you, and you're abdicating your fundamental duty when you exert pressure on private companies to censor speech. Some in this room have been doing just that for years. We in the non-legacy media have been feeling the effects. In the name of the Constitution and in the name of democracy, this should stop.
Great opening statement, and I didn't watch the entire thing, but one of my brothers said Viva, because he still refers to me as Viva. You got to listen to Ben Shapiro. Ben speaks so fast because he understands that the people he is generally talking to are not actually listening to him, but are just waiting for their turn to talk. That's a jab not against Ben, but against a world that, oftentimes in discourse, not looking to understand, not looking to listen. Are you done? You done? I have my thing that I want to say, and then I'm going to say it. All right, what I'm going to do just before we continue going, I'm going to do a mic check 1, 2. This is the microphone that's built in on the InstaLink 360. Let me do the mic check on the Mac. Tell me which one's better. I'm going to go to locals for the answer for this. Mic check Insta 360. Mic check built-in Mac on the MacBook Pro. How now, brown cow? How now? She sells seashells by the seashore. And we're going to go back to Insta. How now, brown cow? Audrey! And she sells seashells by the seashore. Which one is better? Built-in, the Mac is better. Built-in Mac, second is better. Okay. Unanimous, people. Look, I cropped out the meme that I put on the internet, or not the meme, but rather the joke that I put on the internet earlier today. I have to play the entire thing because it's so flipping funny. Like, I don't watch South Park all the time, but I feel kind of stupid because I never liked South Park as much as The Simpsons. But they're flipping geniuses, and they've got cojones of steel. I was, this morning, I got up and I was like, oh, we're going to do the big boy press conference tonight. Big boy press conference. Joe Biden's giving his big boy press conference. We're going to live stream it at 6:30. And I wanted to go get the commercial, I'm a big kid now, because I remembered that being, I'm a big boy now. The song goes, I can pull them off and on, da-da-da-da, mommy, wow, I'm a big boy now. And I thought it was a big boy now, but the commercial was actually only, I'm a big kid now. So the joke didn't really work. Then I stumbled across something that I had never actually seen in any actual episode of that cartoon, South Park. And it is so flipping funny.
This is unbelievable. Stupid toilet safety administration. You can't even take a crap at IHOP without a 40-minute line.
That's a joke of the TSA, which is the airline one. And I'm watching this like, where's the big
Shoes
boys?
off, belts off, sharp objects go in the plastic tray. This is inhumane. Shut up, sir. Taking a dump today, ma'am?
No, just need to pee.
Just needs to check inside your asshole.
Hey, how about you people speed it up in here? I'm about to crap my pants, and I demand access to the toilet right now.
All right, do you mind if I touch your balls, sir?
What? Yes, I mind. Do you mind if I touch your balls?
And then we
Okay,
get to the
I'm done.
meme. Joe Biden.
Right, sir, I just needs to check inside your asshole.
I don't need you wiping my ass for me. I'm a grown man.
Yes, you're a big boy, aren't you, sir?
Yeah, I'm a big boy.
That's a big boy, sir. I'm a big boy. I took a big boy poop.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. So suffice to say, that's among the funniest things I've ever seen. And I hadn't actually seen the entire episode, and I still haven't. But I needed it to memify that. And then I discovered that someone had already memeified it, because I guess there's people out there who were as religiously loyalist to South Park. God, I actually got tears on my glasses from that. Who are as religiously loyal to South Park as I was to The Simpsons. I could answer any question on The Simpsons up until season 20. No longer the case. That was flipping funny. So yeah, Joe Biden's giving his big boy press conference tonight. And I can't understand the world that we're living in. I am torn as to what I want to happen tonight, because I have placed a wager on a website called Predicted, #not an ad, and you'll notice that this stream doesn't contain a paid promotion, but I might do a little bit of the Rumble advertising center because I can. I put money on Joe Biden to be the nominee when he dropped under, I want to say 40 cents, because I thought that was too low and he'd bounce back. And then I put money against Kamala Harris when she was at I think she was at 40 some odd cents, because I thought that was too high and she would fall down. So she's gone up and he's gone down since. So I've got that vested interest that I want to see Joe do well. But I don't know what's going to happen tonight. He's going to do a big boy press conference because Karine Jean-Pierre, the worst press secretary in the history of the universe. I mean, look, can you imagine this, by the way? Very few people get to say that they were the first in the history of the universe or the worst in the history of the universe. I think, I might be wrong, but I think I was the first person in the history of the universe to catch a bass trolling a lure. Not to catch a fish, putting a worm on a hook and holding it from a drone. I trolled a jitterbug with a DJI Phantom. I think it was a Phantom 2 at the time. I hooked the biggest smallmouth of my life on a jitterbug hanging from a drone, and it was the greatest moment of my life. Top 5. And it will remain top 5 greatest moments of my life. Karine Jean-Pierre will, I think forever, be able to lay stake to the claim, take pride in being the worst press secretary in the history of the universe. Only one person gets to say that as of now, and it's Karine Jean-Pierre. Talking about big boy press conference. I mean, it's like the proverbial ass wiping of Joe Biden. There was another great meme of Jill Biden holding up a baby version of Joe Biden saying, who's a big boy? Now, I just got distracted because, let me see something. This mic sucks. The other is far superior. Hold on. I'm going to locals. I'm only going to ask locals. Locals, you tell me which mic is better. I'm going to get a little obsessed over this because I don't know if people are trolling. Which mic is better? This one? I just muted myself. This is the MacBook mic. This is the Instabook thing, camera mic. Mic number Insta. Mic number Mac. The only people I am going to listen to are locals. Is this mic better? This is Mac. Or is this mic better? This is Insta. I'm not saying another thing until unanimous in our locals community. And they say the MacBook is the superior mic. So we're there. So Joe Biden is going to give his big boy press conference tonight after a long day at the NATO summit. And the question is, I got the ultimate conversation on text, Mac mic. No more discussion. The odds right now, we're going back. First of all, I'm very happy J.D. Vance has had a wildly successful day in the markets. He's up 16 cents to 45 cents to be Donald Trump's VP. Maybe Trump saw my poll on Twitter. 91% of the 10,000 some odd respondents, I think it was 10,000, give or take, 91% preferred JD over Burgum. And a lot of people were reposting that picture of Burgum with Bill Gates. So good day for JD Vance. Kamala Harris, Mamacita Buenas Noches, is at 55 cents now, and Joe Biden is down to 34 cents. So if there's no bounce back, Viva's taking a wash on his bet. This is why you shouldn't bet on things. You get vested interest, you get obsessively, compulsively obsessed, and that's it. I'm not even reading about the mic anymore, people. This is it. We're living with this mic for the rest of the show. So we're going to live stream that when it comes up. Summary of some news of the day. And don't ask where I am. The pastel colors are beautiful. I feel like I'm in like a young child's room. Dear God, I'm in a young child's room. I am, by the way. Okay. The news of the day is, there's not much of a news. It's kind of a slow news day until 6:30. I'm following the Alec Baldwin trial, torn between listening to Emily D. Baker, who is crushing the live commentary game on YouTube. She's watching the Alec Baldwin trial. She also watched the Hannah Gutierrez Reed trial, which is sort of like the twin sister trial of this trial. I'm watching Nate, Danny, Andrea Burkhart. I'm going to forget the last name. And just watching with some commentary. And I'm also just watching just to hear what's going on. The latest updates on the Alec Baldwin trial. It's proving to be a very big waste of time in terms of it's tremendously boring. I am not actually quite certain I understand the strategy of the prosecution, especially for the evidence that they adduced today. They finished with their expert from yesterday. And basically, for anybody who's interested, the expert from yesterday who's testifying on basically how she gathered evidence from the scene was looking at dummy rounds versus regular rounds. The issue in that case being whether or not Alec Baldwin had an obligation to triple check the firearm before he pointed it at a human, pulled the trigger, but alleges he didn't pull the trigger, and killed Helena Hutchins. And in the opening statements, prosecution says actor's going to act, armorer's going to armor, director's going to direct, and it's not up to the actor to do the armorer's work. And the only headway that I think that the defense made today was in cross-examination of the expert who gathered the evidence from the scene, who admitted that she had difficulty distinguishing between the dummy rounds and the live rounds. And you know that the argument's going to be, if even the investigators were having trouble determining live rounds from dummy rounds, and they had to send it to the FBI to determine which were live rounds, which were dummy rounds, how the hell do you expect the actor to be expected to do that after the gun has been handed him to the armor by the associate director, David Hall, after it had been handed, dealt with by the armorer? So if the experts have difficulty distinguishing between dummy rounds and live rounds, how the hell do you expect an idiot actor like Alec Baldwin to do it? It's not his obligation. It's not his responsibility. Innocent, therefore. If the prosecution is listening, the obvious argument to that, and Joe Neerman had a very, very interesting point that he made today in commentary, which I'll get to in a second. The Viva can read, but skips the volume part. I can't adjust the volume of the mic. The prosecution's straight up retort to that is, yes, it's very difficult to distinguish between live rounds and dummy rounds. That's why you don't point a gun at a human. Alec Baldwin's failure, his culpable failure of involuntary manslaughter and reckless disregard, was not in that he could not distinguish between live rounds and dummy rounds, because it's very difficult to do. That's why you don't point the gun at a human. Someone in the chat yesterday said, if someone had told Alec to put that gun to his head and pull the trigger, you're damn certain he would have double, triple checked to make sure everything was copacetic, although you still don't pull, even if it has dummy rounds or blanks, because that's how actually another actor killed himself, by putting a blank gun to his head and still emits a concussive force, cracked the skull, he died. But the bottom line, Alec Baldwin's culpable negligence or involuntary manslaughter actus reus and mens rea was not that he couldn't distinguish between rounds. It's that he pointed the gun at a person knowing that it's impossible to distinguish, and nonetheless did that. That would be my retort. And Joe Neerman made a great point in the commentary today with the other law tubers, saying, the argument that the defense is raising, basically, this is a prop gun. You know, we wave it around sets and this and that, and he's not supposed to know if it's live or not. It's supposed to be cold. It's not supposed to be able to hurt anybody. Referring to it as a prop gun minimizes the fact that it is a real gun and therefore dangerous. These are not toys that you can just flaunt, fly around, point at people willy-nilly. These are potentially lethal tools. And just calling it a prop gun doesn't mean you get to treat it like a water pistol, like a super soaker. And that's what they're saying. That's basically what the defense is saying. Look, it's a prop gun. Alec Baldwin is an actor, and he's using it as a prop. He wants to stick it here, stick it there. He can do whatever he wants. No, it's a real gun being used as a prop, a set. It's property of the film, but it's still a potentially lethal firearm that you don't get to point willy-nilly at people and then claim, it was my first day. I didn't mean to pull the trigger, and I didn't mean to kill her. So that's it. That's all that's going on in the Alec Baldwin trial today that anybody needs to know. Out of Canada, I want to highlight something that's been pissing me off, and I had a discussion with my wife as we're driving. I'm going to play the clip because it's nauseating, it's heartbreaking, and I'm sitting there with my wife. I was like, "There's nothing. What can I do? What can I can't play the whole thing? It's 5 minutes." I was like, "What can I do? Not above and beyond what I've already done. It's like I've done what I can, and it's not everything I can do." It's like, I don't know. Listen, but this is Kayla Pollock. She was on the channel. She was rendered a quadriplegic following a Moderna booster after having 2 Pfizer shots, because trust the science. You can just, mix and match whatever you want. I'm going to play a couple minutes of this.
Hi, as most of you know, I was paralyzed by my COVID-19 shot.
Well, I don't know if we're seeing it because for some reason it seems to have popped out. Yeah, hold on. We're not seeing the same thing. Oh, it's making me, hold on. Okay, here we go. Let's do that. Okay. Sorry, hold on. Why can't I find the window? Kayla Pollock here. This is it. Okay, watch this.
Hi, as most of you know, I was paralyzed by my COVID-19 shot and offered medical assistance in dying afterwards, but that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I found out that the company that's been coming in to help me with my basic needs every morning could be going under, which means that I would be basically fed to the wolves. It means that somebody is supposed to come into my house every day and look after me, but there's not enough of those people in the province. And when there are people in the province that do that job, the agencies are so overrun and so many staff changes and turnovers occur because people can't handle the stress of their jobs, like many nurses and doctors that we're losing. So these people have these burdens of these high caseloads, and they end up not being able to deal with the overrun system that we have here in Ontario. And it means that people like me would be sent to long-term care.
Long-term care in Canada.
Case, you would go to a crisis bed, which means that you could be sent anywhere in the province. And in that case, I would not be seeing my son. And the only way to get away from that is to hire your own staff, which takes an enormous amount of money.
I'm going to stop it there because the rest of it will just enrage you, but I'm going to go share it with everybody. That's Kayla Pollock. And it's enraging. And I put out a tweet, just get the numbers. I can't even specifically not pinpoint, but confirm the amount in billions that Canada has committed to Ukraine to finance a foreign proxy war. I can't understand. I can't fathom. Do you imagine how much was it? Was it 80 million that our government squandered on that ArriveCan app? 55 to 80 million, ballooned from like 60 to 80,000 to develop the app. Our government squanders our tax dollars. Our government pilfers our pockets for tax dollars that it then siphons, funds, launders to corrupt Eastern European countries to finance their proxy wars against other corrupt Eastern European countries. It was 14 plus billion that Canada has committed to Ukraine. While it then says, we don't have enough doctors in the province. Oh my goodness. Remember that shortage of doctors that we were supposed to resolve because of the COVID crisis? And I'll put it in the flipping quotes now. The doctor crisis, the nursing crisis, the healthcare crisis in Canada predated COVID by decades. We're losing doctors because shit work conditions. They get trained here and then they go to the States to get paid properly. We're losing doctors because a variety of reasons. The healthcare system is in shambles, and we are siphoning taxpayer dollars to fund foreign conflict. And then when we can no longer take care of the Canadians who need the care that is required, in part because they have listened to the government and did their civic duties and went and got jabbed in this particular case and then became a quadriplegic. Then they say, well, we can't take care of you. We don't have enough money to give you proper housing. In the case of the woman who had multiple chemical sensitivity that they put to death. In the case of, I forget her name there, Beauty is in All Things, that the Simons made an ad about. She didn't want to die. They have actually confirmed cases of people they put down in Canada. The government murdered Canadian citizens, not because they were terminally ill with pancreatic cancer and 3 months of agony left of their lives, but because one had multiple chemical sensitivity and couldn't find housing. Another one was the lady. I mean, the lady in that commercial. Veterans have been offered medical assistance in dying because the system can't handle them, and so you have the government now siphoning our taxpayer dollars off to foreign countries and then literally killing Canadian citizens because it's cheaper to kill a Canadian than it is to treat them under their socialized healthcare system. And you despair them so much to the point where they say, yeah, just kill me at this point. In Kayla's position, some people all steelman it. I'll say, look, it's a socialized healthcare system. You don't get to pick and choose where you get your care. Set aside how it was caused. So you're going to go to that long-term care facility, which is a death sentence in and of itself, as we've seen from COVID. 80% of the death in Canada came from and around long-term care facilities. It came from those long-term care facilities of a demographic that was exquisitely vulnerable and yet ill-protected. And then they used that high number to justify shutting everything down and everyone down. Okay. They can't care for their citizens. And then they say, well, okay, now, Kayla, we've got a place for you. You're just going to have to not be near your son. And we'll make your life so miserable that the fourth time we come around and unsolicited offer you medical assistance in dying, maybe you'll just accept it that time. And I don't know what can be done for Kayla. I do what I, it requires money. It requires money and consistent money because she's going to need care for the rest of her life. And then in as much as I can do everything that I can, we're sitting there talking like, Kayla is one of many of the jibby jab injured and one of many that is just falling through the cracks of Canada's wonderful free, shitty socialized healthcare system. They can't administer the care anymore, so they're administering the death at record numbers. 4.2% of all death in Canada is now government administered death. And like, remember back in the day, there was this investigation into Indigenous genocide. And I'm putting it in quotes, Indigenous genocide, because this report came down and said, yes, there's Indigenous genocide because of the high crime rates, the high death rates among the Indigenous community. The report came down and blamed Canada because of Indigenous on Indigenous violence, and they called it genocide. What would you call euthanizing over 13,000 Canadians? What would you call killing 4+% of the population because you can't care for them anymore? I would venture to call that genocide. Some people argue, well, it's not really against an identifiable group with immutable characteristics. Horse crap. They call laws racist when they have a disparate impact on certain races, certain minorities. The euthanasia in Canada, I would argue, and I think damn justifiably so, that it has a disparate impact on the mentally ill, who they want to expand it to now, euthanasia, and the physically impaired, both immutable characteristics. Call it a genocide, because I believe it is now approaching the numbers and the rampant, what's the word I'm looking for? When you don't have any checks and balances of a genocide. 14, I don't have to be really accurate with the numbers so nobody calls me an exaggerator. 13,000 plus Canadians euthanized in 2023, I believe. I don't believe the number because I know for a fact that there are people who are have been euthanized that they didn't count in that figure. And I know for a fact, oh my gosh, she's on.
I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway.
Oh, that's not on yet.
Well, the fallout from President Biden's disastrous debate performance has loomed large over this NATO summit. Of course, as he faces growing pressure to drop his re-election bid. Over on Capitol Hill, the number of Democrats publicly calling on him to step aside has now grown to 15.
Let me know when it comes up. When it comes up, I'm going to go just take it out so I don't see it. And let me see if I remove it. Remove from presentation. That's interesting. I'd like to be able to see that in the backdrop if I could, and I can because it's right in the bottom. Okay, awesome. So let me just go back to solo. So I forget where I was, but they're killing Canadians because they can't provide for them anymore. And now Kayla needs to pay for her own care to make sure that she gets human care and avoid the temptation to fall into the despair to accept that invitation for medical assistance in dying. And so I'm trying to think of a system. She's got like my mind automatically and always goes to what I know best, which is using the internet to generate revenue, AdSense, etc., build community to get, do stuff that is behind a paywall of people who want to help you with your life and help you succeed in life. But it's wild. And she's one of countless Canadians and one of countless people who has just that's it. Fall through the cracks. Canada gets to say, we're a good country. We have free healthcare that offers death to people, which it's a crap healthcare system. We don't have the money for it, while just shipping billions of dollars to fund foreign conflict. All right, that's what's going on there. And speaking of the devil, so I'll let everybody, not out of chat, you'll tell me what's going on here. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can do this here. Okay, pin. Let's do this here. Hold on. Pin. Away down. Donne-moi une pin. Ici. Vivek sort of suggesting Biden's teleprompter said Putin was president of Ukraine. Yeah, well, if you're stuck to a teleprompter, bad stuff is going to happen. Nike 7. No, here. EG Turalt says, EG Turalt, subscribe. Welcome to our above average community. I love this. I'm gonna pin all these before they start moving away. CLK, my Aussie husband is bedridden from the COVID shot. He only took it to fly to the US to marry me. Our lives together were over before they even begun. It will instill a sense of rage that would not be healthy to get into. It's just no, and that's it. And you get like the Rishi Sunak, so hey, I'm so sorry to hear about your situation. I wasn't aware of it. Bullshit. They're all aware of it. And by the way, coming out of Nova Scotia, the doctors knew damn well that shot was questionable at best. Did I bring this one up? Thanks for shouting the truth about the shots I've watched since the car vlog. Side note, I'm going to catch up on you and the glorious Maine of Viva. I'm also covering the Big Boy Conference, 9:30 Central. Bill Dozer 74. Bill, thank you for being here. Unpinned. Let me go see. I want to make sure that I don't know if it's bringing up I don't know if we have any super chats, but I don't. No, that's not my chat there. Hold on. Let me make sure I don't. I'm going to bring something else up, something from another nutbag of the Medical Institution of Canada. Just want to see if there's any super chats up in here. The Real Honest Truth says, Viva, did you hear Biden address Zelensky as Putin? Well, we just saw that now. I hadn't heard it. I was driving all day, and luckily the kids slept for a fair bit of time. If you're in our locals community, to stay awake, I did a movie review of Heat and Point Break, which I recently rewatched because there's so much commercials on TV. I was lucky to have those two decent movies. Point Break is awesome. It has aged well, and it's a fantastic, and I never realized how spiritual a movie it was. And Heat was, and I think will always be a work of art. And I say that even though I absolutely despise what's his face has become, it still has not ruined that movie for me. Okay, so let me just see. I'm going to keep going back here. Dude, it's even going to come out. Do I want to have... If you can raise the volume, the mic issues that people are talking about is that the volume of the Mac is 40% lower than the volume of much. But I don't believe I have a way to up the audio. There is no way to increase the audio in Rumble Studio that I know. So maybe we're going to have to ask for that feature to be added. Hey, Viva, let's make sure the red wave happens next November. It's so far in the making right now. that they're already starting to run the same bullshit that they ran in 2016. Did you see that they actually ran? I mean, I haven't read the article. Did I bring it up? Oh shoot, no, I need that in the backdrop. Well, maybe I have to share this here. Hold on a second. They're talking again about Russia interfering in this election. I don't have that one up in the backdrop. Chat, let me know if this is coming up because I gotta read you this. This is coming from Brian Lilly, journalist. In British Columbia, Dr. Bonnie Henry is about to release a report that will call for further legal access to hard drugs, including giving free drugs to people. Why? Because current drug policy is about white supremacy. Unlearning and undoing white supremacy and anti-Indigenous racism in BC's Office of the Provincial Health. And it's just a recommendation. The province of British Columbia should explore implementing with appropriate safeguards and evaluating scalable programs that enable access to non-prescribed alternatives to unregulated drugs. People and organizations that represent those with lived and living experience of substance abuse must be engaged in planning, design, and implementation of all programs and policies that enable access to alternatives to the unregulated drugs of unregulated. It's unflipping believable. They control the language to the point where it means absolutely nothing. No longer illegal, unregulated people. They're no longer illegal aliens. They're undocumented migrants. They're undocumented citizens for all anybody knows. Live press conference. Okay, here. What is it? Was it unregulated drugs? Yes, it's not. They're not illegal drugs. And by the way, they're expanding MAIDs to. They want to expand MAIDs to drug addiction, but they want to expand it also to mental illness, which can be triggered through drug addiction. It's just Bonnie Henry. For those who don't know, is the crazy. Hold on, let me refresh this. Hold on, live. It's on. It's on. It's on. Is it on? Is it on? Oh, this is May 8th. Damn it. They keep teasing me here. This is May 8th, 2024. Why are we replaying another press conference? All right, well, this is not the right one. We're going to take that one out and just go back to it. So, yeah, that's what's going up on in Canada. You hear? There was something else that I wanted to. No, they control language to the point where it means nothing. Call people Nazis to the point where actual racists and actual bigots and whatever now get to hide in the fray with all of the other people that were called Nazis, myself included. By the way, I love getting called a Nazi. It's the most hilarious illustration of outright stupidity on earth. Unregulated drugs, not illegal drugs. Undocumented migrants, not illegal aliens. And then these jackasses that they are vote against bills that seem pretty, I have to pull up the text to make sure, seem pretty clear as to what they are, not like pork chop bills. A bunch of Democrats, 195 Democrats voted no to require ID to vote because that would be racist, right? HR 8281 to amend the National Voter Registration Act of 1993 to require proof of United States citizenship to register an individual to vote in elections for federal office and for other purposes. 195 Democrats voted against this today. It passed the House, and I think it goes to the Senate. If I'm not, I'm not sharing the screen because I'm an idiot. There we go. I believe it passes the House. I forget exactly how it works, but everybody can help me out with that. Dude, is Joe Biden, excuse me, got a bit of a burn in my throat. Is he coming out? Well, this is funny. And so they voted against, 195 Democrats voted against requiring proof of U.S. citizenship. Remember, people, they call you a conspiracy theory when you say that the reason why they want mass immigration is to impact elections. And they say, well, illegal immigrants, undocumented migrants, and they're all apparently asylum seekers. They don't vote anyhow, so there's no impact on elections, except through the census. They affect congressional seats. So that even illegal immigration and even the illegal aliens that have crossed the border in record numbers have an impact on the government and representation in the government. Then they come out and say Trump is talking about deporting. Well, how many? illegal aliens? How do you deport 10 to 15 million people? It's like, well, basically what you're telling me now is we've allowed so many illegal aliens to enter the country illegally that it would be inhumane to deport them, because that is what the suggestion is. You can't round them up and deport 10 million people. It's inhumane. The only humane thing then is to not deport them and then to grant them amnesty, grant them expedited citizenship, allow them to vote. You got a nice 10 to 15 million, if you believe that number, demographic, who will always be thankful to their the people who brought them in. And then these same Democrats vote against a very common sense resolution. You talk to anybody in any country out there, and the idea that you don't have to show photo ID to vote in America is idiotic beyond words. And more amazing than that, the argument that it's racist is racist beyond words. It's not racist to require blacks to show ID when they want to go get alcohol, because that's not a constitutional right. But it's racist because it disparately impacts black people, minorities, homeless people. It's like they want to force firearm owners to have licenses to exercise their Second Amendment rights, but don't want to force voters to show ID to exercise their constitutional right to vote, while simultaneously arguing that somehow it's racist, but it's not just as racist to make black people get licenses or show ID to buy alcohol. It's the most racist argument on earth. And then they vote against that bill. The amazing thing is, I just noticed this. They're stupid and disingenuous beyond words. There was a poll here, which I voted on. Could tonight's press conference potentially change how you will be voting in November? And 71% said no, off a WFAA, I don't know what news agency that is, website. That is to say, 70% of the people out there are convinced they will either vote for Biden regardless or won't vote for Biden regardless. And I have a sneaking suspicion, given the platform that is being polled on, it's more likely they will vote for Biden regardless. They'll pull a Joy Reid. Y'all do your fighting. Tell me who I got to vote for. Because we got to keep Hitler out the White House. Because now Trump is the Hitler. Trump is the man who, if he ever accedes to power again, will never relinquish it. And meanwhile, the Democrats are doing absolutely everything under the sun to ensure that they don't lose this election, i.e. retain the grip on power. So while they accuse Trump of being a dictator who will never relinquish power if he ever rises to a position of power again, they are literally doing everything they can right now to retain the power that they've gotten, even if it means taking a hot, steaming Democrat dump on constitutional rights and democracy itself. Okay, let me just see here. We're not yet live, eh? Biden might have fallen asleep. He might have taken a poop in his big boy pants. Okay, so we're still not there. Let me go to locals and see what's going on in locals. Oh, hold on. My person on the inside is saying, if you can raise the volume, you should please. Oh no, I can't. Okay, so that's it. There's no button in mic in studio yet. But okay, now let me see here. Denise Ann 2. I'm gonna go. I can't mute it every time I'm gonna cough, so I apologize for coughing in advance. I'm gonna take a look here. Denise Ann 2 says Ben was perfectly happy saying corporations can censor if they want. Ben was perfectly happy saying corporations can censor. Hold on, I want to bring this one up. How do I see this here? Go to donations, go to donos, refresh. Oh, no, I'm not refreshing. Okay, I can't see it there. So in vivabarneslaw.locals.com, Denise Antu says, Ben was perfectly happy saying corporations can censor if they want. I don't believe anything he says anymore. He's only saying this now because it makes him sound more informed. Got something stuck in my mouth there. Sometimes you can attack intentions in order to undermine the message. The only problem is he's saying the right thing for the wrong reasons, maybe. But I happen to know what he's saying is true as far as it goes, as relates to the soft censorship on YouTube, the hard censorship by way of these boycott campaigns, the disinformation campaigns that they try to wage against Twitter, against Rumble. Who are they suing? Media Matters for America, MMFA. Come up with these bullshit reports that they use to pressure advertisers to pull advertising. And it's an amazing thing that they do the same thing in the public discourse of ideas. And they basically say, like, it's why you find so few lefties, capital D Dems, progressives, people on the left side of the aisle who will come and fraternize with these so-called extremists on the right. I appreciate, I'm an asshole on Twitter. I mean, I appreciate it. Sometimes I feel bad that I may have sworn too much or called people too many names. When I called Trudeau a narcissist, a fucking narcissist piece of shit. Yeah, sometimes I speak in anger. And I can understand why Trudeau would not come on for an interview. But what they do is, in addition to information laundering, what I would call the wrap-up smear, what they do is they create their own self-righteous silo so that they no longer need to fraternize with the extremists. They call you names. They call you the worst names on earth. And then they get to say, well, we don't go and slum around with the Jordan Petersons, with the Viva Fries, with the Tim Pool. He's been pretty good at, walking that fence. We don't fraternize with them because they're not worthy of our time. And because they're not worthy of our time and nobody talks to them, we then get to discredit them. Like, I was amazed that Jason Palmer came on the channel. Eugene Gu. I don't know where he is, and I don't even know if he's alive anymore. Haven't seen him. In fact, does anybody know where Eugene Gu is? He came on. I am amazed when lefties, especially ones with whom I virulently disagree, come on. But what they do is they create their silos so that they no longer have to have any sort of interaction with the others. And then they get to pat themselves on the back and be the most self-righteous bastards for doing it. I got to the mute button on that one. Look, it ain't good news that Joe Biden has not yet come out. Jeez Louise. Let's see what the stock is doing, people. Oh, boy. A Kamala. My long-running theory, though, is even if Biden drops out, Kamala is going to tank in the markets because it's going to be a vicious and bitter fight for her. But I don't think Joe's stepping out tonight. He's going to come out pepped up on crack and whatever the hell they need to inject into that guy. So he'll give a ferocious 30-minute snoozer, then take 4 questions, and then go home and go back to bed. But his team will let him know if anything needs his attention tonight. No, not yet. One thing's also not being on time. That's a problem. Jeez Louise, can you imagine? I just had a terrible thought. If they jacked him up on too much stuff. If his schedule has been too hard on him. He's been very busy, keeping himself busy. Even it's a very weird thing, by the way. Fox News has been, I don't want to say going out of their way to give what I think is flattering coverage of Joe, but they have been giving relatively flattering coverage of Joe, and I find it curious. Is it on? Soon, President Biden. Oh, for goodness sake. Here, let's just see what I see here. Like they're playing the greatest hits.
Anyway,
what did he do?
Of course, the fallout from President Biden's disaster refer to Ukrainian
Okay,
President Volodymyr Zelensky as President Putin. Take a listen.
and now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway.
House correspondent Mary Alice Parks. She's there on the North
Wall. Guys, everybody. That's no more serious than calling out another woman's name while you're having sex. I mean, everybody knows that. I'm sure Zelensky. Oh, shoot. Can I change my bet? Now I can't change my bet without losing a lot. Gambling is a sin, people. Wow. It's a full 30% swing today alone. Okay, let's see what's going on in the chat. He's just so focused. Anyway, come on, man. No, I mean it. For real. Do you appreciate also Hunter uses the same for real? I don't know. It could be my computer. It could be Russian disinformation. It could have fallen from the heavens. It could be the monolith from the 2001: A Space Odyssey. Added AH. What we got here? Fox News reports it starts at 7. Well, at first it was supposed. Thank you, MI. At first it was supposed to start at 5:30. Then it was bumped to 6:30. Now apparently it's starting at 7. We'll see. I'm still seeing in the Chiron. Well, it ain't on yet. So let me see what's going on with this one. we're looking at a here we're looking at a blank podium. I could really go for a martini right now. That's here we go. Maybe it's come on now. Look at this. I'm not sharing the screen. Come on, get in presentation mode. Here we go. Okay. Very serious looking people. I don't know. This is live. This looks like courtesy the White House. So you know what? I'm actually going to leave it on this one. Oh, what's this guy doing? What's he doing? Okay, I'm not on mute, so I should be hearing something. President Biden looks young. He got a tan too. He grew some facial hair. Okay, what's this guy doing? Why is he wearing an FJB pin? I'm joking. He's staring into my soul. All right, well, so we can keep this going, or I'll bring it into the backdrop. So this looks live. He looks nervous. Which Biden? The funny thing, though, is not to start any debates with. I'm going to leave this in the backdrop, and I'll hear it when it comes up. Not to start debates with people with whom I am ideologically aligned. I appreciate the Biden clone theory, or like they use Biden body doubles. But if they use Biden body doubles, like do they only have old and decrepit body doubles, or they don't have someone who's sharp like Jack Palance to do the body double? What's this presser for? Says Tara Mama. Is he going to resign? That would be very bad. No, it isn't. He cannot resign after the position that he's taken and after what Democrats have done by way of taking positions. I mean, if Barnes is going to be the smartest guy in the room, or his bet's going to be off. He predicted, and it was a few days ago, that the media is going to come out with hit piece after hit piece, leak after leak, media pressure, Hollywood pressure, but that Joe Biden is a street-level criminal who has ascended to the White House and is not going to bend over or break under that pressure. And 3-to-1 odds of cancellation, says Pinot in the Rumble community. All right, well, while that's happening, this guy's still sitting here just like staring into my soul in the backdrop, and it's making me a little nervous. Got 8 minutes if it starts at 7. I guess it's starting at 7 more than it's starting at 6:30 now. So let's take this out. What is he doing? Stop blinking. Okay, he's looking. He's scoping out the crowd. I think he's there to make it look like there's an audience, or he's keeping an eye on the. Okay, here you go. Yeah, this guy's like a sharp as a hawk, like an eagle. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Now I return to looking at the crowd. You. Where are you going? You. I see what you did. Okay. When it comes back on, we'll do it. But I had something else in the backdrop that we could watch in the meantime. Yeah, well, okay, sorry. This is the article on the bill. The House passes bill to ban non-citizens from voting in federal elections. And then they're going to say, what's the next step? It's got to go to the Senate. Wait down. Check sabin. Here we go. The legislation formally titled the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, SAVE, cleared the chamber 221 to 198 with 5 Democrats voting yes. It now has the Senate, where it's all but certain to be ignored amid opposition from Democrats. They got to preserve democracy by letting, but they got to preserve democracy by not banning non-Americans from voting. Makes total sense. Okay, let me pull up the thing again. Which one will we have? That was good. The guy staring into my soul. I like this guy here. Okay, let's do that. And while we wait for one thing, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Show more. While we're waiting, I'm going to highlight the monumental beauty that is the Rumble Advertising Center. Look at this. We're gonna run an ad, people, because we can. Because the Rumble Advertising Center. This is not an ad for Rumble Advertising Center. Because the Rumble Advertising Center has revolutionized the way content creators are going to be able to run ads. Check this out. Boom. I don't think I see anything, but I hear something. Ooh. Hold on. I hear something. Okay. Sorry, this might have. Okay, you know, we're going to do that, and we're going to do this. See something here? All right. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's do it. You can still hear. We're doing the 1775 coffee today. They are a long time sponsor of the channel. I love them. I drink the coffee. I like companies that respect free speech, and I like companies that value me as a customer. And if you wake up in the morning as a sleepy Joe, this might be the coffee for you. It's time to say goodbye to Starbucks and say hello to Rumble's 1775 coffee. Unlike other brands, this is a coffee that backs free speech and is unapologetic about it. One thing I love, Chris has never gotten mad at me about a tweet. Rumble has never gotten mad at me about a tweet. I think I'm still within the bounds of rudeness, but righteous rudeness. But I like 1775 because it's an amazing thing to have companies that will let you say what you want within the bounds of the law, pretty much. And they are unapologetic about their support for free speech, and they are a wonderful company that is partnered with Rumble. Go to 1775coffee.com, use the promo code STUDIO, STUDIO, so that everybody knows you're coming from this amazing Rumble Advertising Center read. And you'll get 15% off your order. The coffee comes in medium and dark roasts. It also comes in pea berry, which is similar to a Kona coffee. I once had Kona coffee. Kona's in Hawaii. I was there for my honeymoon. I don't know if I had a sinus infection for the first 7 days of our honeymoon. It was not pleasant. And then Marion got a sunburn on her butt that was so bad she actually blistered because we went snorkeling and her little butt cheeks were sticking out of the water all day and she got blisters from such a bad sunburn. Tangent over. Click the link in the live chat or the description. You can take a picture of the, check this out. You can take a picture of the QR code. Look at this. Bada bing, bada boom. And it takes you right to 1775 coffee. Well, my internet's a little, so here we go. Takes you right to 1775 coffee. Go to 1775coffee.com. Promo code STUDIO. Get 15% off today. 1775, thank you. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, so apparently we're being told now it starts at, I feel like I had an episode of what episode was it? From the Family Guy? Apparently it starts at 7 o'clock. Let's go to the chat, see what's going on here. VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com. We're coming into the chat for a second. I'm sure she appreciates you sharing, LOL. She's not watching. And all that to say is there was no spanking. Oh my gosh, that's too much. It was the funniest thing. Like we were snorkeling in this. I forget where we were, and there were some turtles and whatever. It was just beautiful. And you never think about putting suntan lotion on your butt cheeks. I'm a big boy. I'm gonna have to whap your butthole. South Park I think is genius, and I never appreciated it, but yeah, it's genius. All right, so we're in a few more minutes here. Let's see what we got in the backdrop, or we'll go to the live chat here. If we go to YouTube, big boy pants. I remember Hillary Clinton at one point in 2016 said, big boy interview. But pull up your big boy pants. I can't remember the exact quote. See if I can't find it right now. The idea, like, it's so outrageous. She said, put on your big boy pants, Hillary Clinton. Let me see. How to wear Hillary Clinton pantsuits. That's definitely not. Oh my goodness. Do I pull up this article if everybody wants to retch? I have to. I must. We've got a second for this. This is an article from Vogue from 2016. Vogue. Wearing the pantsuit. One Vogue.com writer goes looking for the Hillary Clinton effect. Oh. The article was called, okay, how to wear the pantsuit like Hillary Clinton. Okay, we're done with that. All right, let's get back and not miss a darn thing when this happens. Joe Biden's big boy press conference. That's my stream. Joe Biden here, live Joe Biden. Okay, we're going to bring this back up. Okay, it's not on yet. We'll leave it here and let's just see what's going on. Hunter's cutting. Oh, and then Hunter's on the committee to decide what. Who says what's going to happen? Who's predicting what? Vomits and food. I'm going to go put out a poll. I don't think we can do polls yet on Rumble, but hopefully that functionality is coming. We're going to say this here, a poll, start a poll, tonight's presser. Disaster or not a disaster. Okay, let's start it here. Boom, shakalaka. All right. Let's see what's going on. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the show? What's everyone else up to? It's a we drove from Montreal to Toronto today, and it was a long drive. I don't know if someone who passed us was a fan or just was it's so rude, an hour and a half late, or was just liked the vehicle. Oh, so okay, here's we were driving. The kids have now discovered the with the big rig truckers. They were doing the test out the window, asking for pull the horn. For those who don't know, on the big rig trucks, like the 53-foot trucks, you go like this. The horn is a rope on the side. They pull it, blast an air horn. What do you think? They did it to. They did it to 45 cars, 45 trucks. What do you think the statistics were in terms of the percentage proportion, give or take, who pulled the horn when they got the toot, or who didn't pull the horn when they got the toot? Let's see here. We got one from Denise Antu. Says, I think, oh, cripe. Come on. Oh, see, it scrolls up when I'm trying to. Can I do it still here? Okay, so hold on. I can't. Oh, for goodness sake. Here, put this here. I think he doubles down on not leaving the race, but makes absolutely zero sense. He cannot back out of the race. What people don't understand is he can't back out of the race now. Obama's running ads on YouTube for him. They don't get to say, oh, we didn't know, because it means they all obviously knew. Unless they come out and say, oh, he's come up with a clinical diagnosis. He recently had minor strokes. No one was aware of it, and it materialized in what we saw the other night. None of them get to back out of it now. GE, good evening from Anton's Meat and Eat. Free shipping on your biltong using code VIVA on www.biltongusa. It's on and AntonUSA.com. We sent your shipment yesterday. You get Peri Peri, Ghost, and Reaper en route. Booyah, King of Biltong. Anton, thank you very much. Okay, now we're taking this out. Come on, I'm so excited. I'm terrified. We just text it downstairs. Fox News says it starts at 7. Okay, we got that. He cannot back. It's one thing that Clooney comes out and says, look, he's time to drop out, and then he gets the likes of Rob Reiner backing him as well. You realize, and they could throw Karine Jean-Pierre under the bus as well. It would involve admission of institutionalized lying from everybody and anybody involved in the administration up to the top. Obama, Kamala. I mean, Kamala comes out tweeting that he's the best and only, he's competent. Kamala's in on it. Obama's in on it. The media can pretend that they were duped, but the perpetrators can't back out of this lie. I was thinking as I was driving, it's reached the levels of the lie of the Syrian kid in the UK that Tommy Robinson did the documentary on. The Syrian kid who the media said was a victim of a white nationalist racist attack with the kid who poured water on his face and was waterboarding him. Once the government repeats the lie at an international scale, there is no coming back and saying, oh, yeah, well, we've been lying to you for the last year plus. Oh, no, it was only a recent thing that happened. Oh, okay, we'll believe that. Just tell me who to vote for, sir, says Joe Reed. And I was having a discussion with someone today. I was like, all right, you admit that they've been lying to you about this. This is the guy who has been telling you a bunch of other stuff. So the guy who you now recognize has been lying to you about his cognitive capacity, you still believe that he was telling you the truth when he lied to you about the fine people hoax, when he lied to you about the injecting bleach into your arm, when he lied to you about these losers and suckers. Do you think he was telling you the truth? Oh, no. So he was lying to you then. You think he was lying to you when he talked about COVID, about Ukraine, about 2016, 2020, about January 6th. Once you understand that he's lied to you and the administration has lied to you on a monumental, pivotal thing, you have to understand they've lied to you about other stuff. And then the only question is about how much. And that reality is actually too much for people to say to themselves, holy shit, they've been lying to me forever. And I have not only been duped by their lies, they've actually used me as a useful idiot, a conduit to propagate their lies to others. Not only was I duped, they used me to dupe others. And for that, I cannot forgive myself. And in order to not have to address forgiving myself, I'm just not going to admit it to myself. Here's your daily dose of psychiatry from Viva Frei, or psychology. Why are so many people going up on the podium? Jesus. Life, that says Lyle F. Weed says they lied and millions of people have died. There's no question millions of people have died. Oh yeah, we did the lockdowns and we had no scientific basis for doing it. Suicide, depression, drug overdose. Yeah, we forced that experimental jab on people, and yeah, I think Trump gets some blame there. But Operation Warp Speed was never intended to be what it turned into. Lots of people died there. Oh yeah, the people aren't dropping dead from the jab; they're dropping dead from poor health, missed doctor's appointments, generalized stress, drug abuse, etc. Oh, you know what? Guess what? All the result of what you did. So one way or another, it's all on you. They lied about social distancing. They lied about masks. They lied about everything. People died by scores, by the millions. And the amazing thing is, at the early stages of COVID, when people were making hyperbolic analogies to other eras, and people are like, no, you can't compare it to the Nazis, you can't compare it to the Holocaust because the numbers are different. They called Rwanda genocide, and it was not Holocaust. It was not Holocaust numbers. They called it a genocide. It was only hundreds of thousands. I think we can safely understand and safely conclude that whether you blame it on the jibby jab or whether you blame it on social isolation, drug addiction, stress, missed doctor's appointments, it was government induced, and it's in the millions. So I will call that a genocide. This is a little wild. Where the heck is Biden? Just going to go back to see how. All right, well, we're down from our peak downness, and JD Vance is still at 44 cents. Let's see what's going on with the chat. Well, what I'm very flattered by is that the chat is actually moving almost too fast in studio for me to keep up with it. But I can scroll up and scroll down. FJB is lost. Haven't had anybody notice the FJB on the side of our vehicle. The funny thing is, I went up to somebody who's I'm not embarrassed. He was a Democrat, and I say, they didn't realize it right away. It's like, fuck Jeb Bush. I was like, Jeb Bush is the name that comes to mind. And it's an amazing thing. It's really fun. It was actually just a very, very funny. It was a totally sincere reaction. Fuck Jeb Bush. It's like, yeah, that's the JB that it also illustrates just like not being honed in with the social media and the FJB. Do I play the wiping your butthole again? Because damn, I cried when I first saw that. Okay, so let's just see here what's going on in our chats everywhere here. So 90% are predicting disaster, and 10% are predicting not disaster. I didn't leave much. I didn't want to have it. 90. How do I see the poll here? Not end poll. I only got 718 votes, but 90% say disaster, 10% say not a disaster. I don't think it's going to be a disaster. They're building up the suspense, but I'm getting a little nervous that it might actually not happen. King of Biltong says, play it. Well, let me see if I can find the other hilarious meme. Yeah, okay, here was my tweet. You know what I'll do? I'm going to do it like this, actually. Like this. Bada bing, bada boom. Here. Jeez. So let me make sure that the audio is off or the audio is on so that I can hear it if I change pages. No, that's my page. Put that on. I'm getting nervous, people. Hold on. I think I just paused it. Cripe. What did I do? Okay, no, that's still going. So that's not the one we're on. This is the one we're on. Okay, certainly building the tension here. Let's just go here. Breaking leaked footage of Joe Biden prepping for the.
I don't need you wiping my ass for me. I'm a grown man.
Yes, you're a big boy, aren't you, sir?
Yeah, I'm a big boy.
That's a big boy, sir.
I'm a big boy. I took a big boy poop.
Yes.
I don't need you wiping
Absolutely
my ass.
classic. Okay. Just coughing. Anybody else getting nervous? Oh. Okay. All right. Oh. Are we hearing music? No, it's not. Okay. It's happening, people. Hold on. Getting so excited. I'm a big boy. After repeat usage, the drugs aren't quite as effective. Let me see who's there's a tweet now. I want to see. Son of a bee sting. Are we witnessing a problem? Come on, Joe. I wish I could show 3 screens at the same time. I can't. I'm gonna open up in the backdrop here just the predicted market to see how it's doing in real time. Mary? No. I'm a big boy. I'm a big boy poop. Okay. Let's go over to locals and see what's going on in the chat here. Oh, we're 314 people in locals. Booyah. So what is a homo? Joe Homo says 65 Jaggy guy. Someone said I don't know how to pronounce homo. Is it homo? Or am I supposed to be saying see homo for some reason? See how many trucks honked their horn? So how many trucks honked their horn? So we did 45. 26 honked their horn and 19 did not. Now, my prediction was that on the 401, a lot more were going to be honking their horns proportionally because it's a lot more of a boring drive. We started doing it on the Atwater 15 South because I'm an idiot and got lost getting out of Montreal. So it was over 50%, well over 50% tooted their horn, and some vigorously. This is embarrassing. Cool whip. Okay, so let me go back and see if I'm supposed to say si homo or homo. Chomo or homo? Oh, Chomo is a child. Well, I did not know that until now, Brad. So, but then why it should be a chimo, not a chomo. Who will introduce him, Viva? Putin. Putin is good. But if I'm not saying chomo is a child molester, but why wouldn't it then be? It should be chimo. But then that might be not nice to Chimo Reem, who's a great poker player, or that Hawaiian minister. His name was Chemo. Also, the guy who had the cross on his chest was built like a Greek god who got taken down by Royce Gracie in UFC 2, I believe. All right, this is a setup. Number 2, he's out. Something is very wrong. Something doesn't feel right. That's for damn sure. He's going to resign. So far, 44 minutes of my life wasted. I'll never get back. Payday 274. That's in YouTube. It is never wasted when you have when you're spending good time with good company. Homo is a prison slang. All the gangs hate the homos. Chomos. Chomo. Okay. Anyway, I think we've got that. Okay, we understand that. I did not know that, and now I do. And I'm not sure that I'm a better person for knowing it. Cool. I want to go to a Twitter feed. So let's see who's panicking here on Twitter. Hold on. I'm gonna inhale this here. I don't think it is normal that. Well, he just tweeted. No, he didn't tweet. Let me see. Joe Biden last tweeted 2 hours ago. I'll just say, dude, Dude, you're kind of late to your press conference. Just go out there and put that tweet out into the universe. Put this one here too. And let's see what's going on. Okay, we'll go to the chat and see what's going on here. Expecting to start in 20 to 40 minutes per Peter Doocy. Kimmy Hunt. What are we just supposed to sit here and then smoke? Well, hold on. So we got Kimmy Hunt, who is proven is a reliable member of the community. Pin covers my face. Expecting to start in 20 to 40 minutes per Doocy. Well, that's great. I came to see my brother, and I'm not going to see him because Disclosed.tv announced a bunch of Dems are going to call for him to step down in the next 48 hours. Yeah, they've already done that. I mean, that's the other thing is they're going to call for him to step down. Which ones? Better make sure that the ones calling for him to step down haven't participated in the lie. And I guarantee you they have. They cannot call for him to step down without, indicting the entire system. And then the question is going to be, I think if they call for him to step down and he steps down, I predicted he's not going to be the candidate anyhow. I just sort of want him to bounce back, at least for tonight, so I can make good on my prediction that he got a little too low for what was coming. But my goodness, this ain't looking good. I picture like what they're doing. They're doing like a Mr. Burns thing to him, where like they're giving him new blood with oxygen in it, and we got Emily TV producer at Emily TV producer. The American First Barsh Consulting Company says, "Have you forgotten, Viva? Being on time is white supremacy." All right, they're going for the let's see something here. I'm on mute now. All right, look at this. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 flags. Oh, he's giving it. Okay, so I can sort of maybe understand why there's not a suspicious reason. There's a crowd. This is at le OTAN. L'Organisation Transatlantique de l'Amérique du Nord. L'OTAN. You know, so that okay. This is fantastic. Okay, I'm going to go to the chat here. We got now delayed it to 7:30. Political reporting, only 4 questions. LOL, says Joan Anderson. We knew that they were limiting it to 4 questions. They had already announced that, but this is wild. What do we have in the back? Let me see if I have anything more that we can look at while we wait. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can go look at the most scoundrelous human on earth. Oh. No, it's coming. I hear it now. Son of a gun, I hear it. Hold on. Presidential music. Get this out of here. I hear music. You don't hear the music, but I hear it. It's very, very proud. Very amazing. Okay. Is this, am I on the right? Yes. There's Peter Doocy. You think they're going to take a question from Peter Doocy? Is that Christian Freeland? No. Oh, please, he should come down dressed in a skirt with long hair and claim to be trans, and that way nobody gets to vote him out because that would be transphobic. Look at this. This music strikes me as being something you would hear in a Disney movie. Here he comes, Mr. President. It was supposed to start at 5:30, comma, bumped to 6:30, comma, then bumped to 7, comma, and now bumped to 7:30. Ah, yes, the gaggle of reporters tweet frantically. Who will get the tweet out first? Who will get the most viral tweet? Who will get the one-moment caption which can make or break this emergency press conference? Only time will tell. He takes a deep breath, decides to hit send, and does it. Someone in the front seems to be conducting the orchestra with their own hands. What the hell is this? You would expect this like at a commercial break in the Oscars. Oh, gosh darn it, I just scratched myself. Full face. Oh, that would be funny. He comes down with COVID, he's got to wear a face mask, and it's a dub over audio. And he just sits there moving his hands. Send in the clown. Those laffy, daffy clowns. Biden has just hit an all-time low on the market. 32 cents. He is down 33% today alone. Oh. Ooh. Create suspense. The music is for real. The music is on, like, I thought it was me. That's the actual music. I think I unlocked it, but I'll leave the keys in the door, question mark. This is Oscar music. Am I getting? Hold on, let me go see if I'm getting claimed on YouTube. Ah, here we go. Surely it will start now. Oh no, there's another song. Okay, I'm gonna. Do we want to listen to this music for much longer? Fucking Ukraine Nazi music. Oh my goodness, this is such a clown show. This is going to be bad, says Maddox. What? Yes, I will go back to school and earn my... Hasn't started yet, exclamation points. It's been delayed twice. Can I mute the music? Or should I mute the music? Oh, that's annoying music. I'm a man of the arts. I studied classical piano for 16 years as a child. That music makes me want to stick long fingernails into my eardrums. But I think we got to leave it so I can see what's going on. So this is wild. I don't know if they're trying to build suspense. Sounds like old Western music says Humperdoo. I think it sounds more like war music. Let's just take all the tip chats while we're here. Someone getting married, says Doug Leaf and Denise Ann too. I think he doubles down. Okay, we got that there. If we go over to, I think we got all of the Crumble rants. Did one just come in here? Delayed. Okay, expecting 25 minutes. All right, so that's it. This is quite wild, however. Hold on. I've been on mute the entire time. I've been on mute the entire time. You haven't heard all of my amazing humor.
Distinguished guests.
Yes, it's
the President of the United States,
we think.
Joe Biden.
I'm talking, by the way, throughout this entire thing. So if you want to hear it with no commentary, this is not the. Hey, everybody. I quit. How do I get this out of here?
Thank you. Please be seated.
I still got a cold.
Well, good evening. We just concluded this year's NATO summit, and the consensus among the members was it was a great success. It's especially momentous because it represented the 75th year, the most important military defense alliance in the world's history of the world.
Make contact.
We should never forget that NATO grew out of the wreckage of World War II,
and we're trying to bring about the
most destructive war in history. The idea was to create an alliance of free and democratic nations that would commit themselves to a compact of collective defense.
A compact? Or
standing together, they knew we'd all be safer. Attack on one.
It's an attack on all.
Be treated as an attack on all.
I hope he's not foreshadowing war.
Because a would-be aggressor knows they attack one of us, they'll be attacked by all of us. Sending that message is the best way to deter aggression.
He's setting up a
prevent wars in the first place. For those who thought NATO's time had passed, they got a rude awakening when Putin invaded Ukraine. Some of the oldest and deepest fears in Europe roared back to life because once again, a murderous madman was on the march. This time, no one cowered in appeasement, especially the United States. We collected intelligence that Russia was planning to invade Ukraine months before the invasion. I directed the intelligence community to be a significant amount of intelligence be declassified so I could start building an international coalition to oppose the invasion. Then in February, some of you remember, I warned the world that the invasion was imminent. I rallied a coalition of 50 nations from Europe to Asia to help Ukraine defend itself.
He did it.
Many foreign policy experts thought as Putin amassed Russian forces just 100 miles north of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, but Putin thought it was the mother home of Russia. The capital would fall in less than a week. But the Ukrainian people, backed by a coalition to help build, stopped them. Today, Kyiv still stands, and NATO stands stronger than it has ever been. During the week of this summit, several heads of states made it a point in their statements to thank the United States and to thank me personally for all that NATO has achieved. NATO is not only stronger, NATO is bigger because we led the charge to bring in Finland and Sweden into the alliance.
Oh, that's not
It
an
makes
act
a
of war.
gigantic difference.
Cough it.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I got a bit of a cold.
Meanwhile, my predecessor has made it clear he has no commitment to NATO.
He's blinking more
He's
this
made
time.
it clear that he would feel no obligation to honor Article 5. He's already told Putin, and I quote, "Do whatever the hell you want."
That's another lie.
In fact, the day after Putin invaded Ukraine, here's what he said. It was genius. It was wonderful. Some of you forgot that, but that's exactly what he said.
No, it's not what he said, you dumbass
But I made
liar.
it clear. A strong NATO is essential to American security.
Sorry. Yeah, of course.
And I believe the obligation of Article 5 is sacred.
He's bringing up Article 5 again. They're
And
planning a
remind
false
all
flag.
Americans. Article 5 is invoked only once in NATO's long history.
At 9/11.
And that was to defend America after 9/11. I
They're
made
planning
it clear.
They're planning another 9/11.
I will not bow down to Putin. I will not walk away from Ukraine. I will
Well,
keep NATO strong.
It makes me sick. It
That's
sounds
exactly
like
what we did.
It sounds like they're planning
Exactly what
another
we'll
9/11.
continue to do. Now, the future of American policy is up to the American people.
He's reassuring the deep state.
This
He's
is
in
much
their
more than a
pocket.
political question. It's more than that.
Yeah, it's much more
It's
than
a
that.
national security issue. Don't reduce this to the usual testament that people talk about, issues of being a political campaign. It's far too important. It's about the world we live in for decades to come.
This guy's setting up a World War III.
Every American
And he'll be president.
must ask
Sure.
herself or himself, is the world safer with NATO? Are you safer?
Very
Is
arguable.
your family safer?
Very arguable.
I believe the American people know.
I believe
The
him.
answer to all those questions is yes. And I believe the American people understand that America is stronger because of our alliances. I believe the American consensus from Truman to Reagan to me still holds today. America cannot retreat from the world. We must lead the world.
Oh, yeah.
We're an indispensable nation, as Madeleine Albright wrote.
Yeah, you said that during your George Stephanopoulos
Now let me
interview.
turn to three other key issues.
Where's the teleprompters?
Just this morning, we had a great economic report showing inflation is down. Overall prices fell last month. Core inflation is the lowest it's been in 3 years. Prices are falling for cars, appliances, and airfares. Grocery prices have fallen since the start of the year. We're going to keep working to take down corporate greed to bring those prices down further. Meanwhile, Trump's calling for a 10% tariff on everything Americans buy, including food from overseas.
He just called it corporate.
vegetables,
He just called it
and other
corporate greed.
necessities.
They called it a
And
Putin price
economists
hike.
tell us that would cost the average American working family another $2,500 a year. It's a tax of $2,500.
He called it corporate greed from a
Second.
Putin price hike.
Our efforts to secure the border, southern border, is working.
Mm.
After Trump killed the bipartisan effort to secure the border,
Oh, this guy's a fucking
Republicans
liar.
and Democrats had worked on, because he thought it would benefit me and make him a loser, Republicans walked away.
He's going to say the suckers and losers thing
So I
again.
took executive action last month. As a consequence, working with Mexico, border encounters have gone down over 50%. The current level is lower today
He was just
than
squinting
when
to
Trump
read.
left office.
Oh, my goodness.
Third.
I'd like to fact check that.
For months, the United States has been working to secure a ceasefire in Gaza, to bring the hostages home, to create a path for peace and stability in the Middle East. 6 weeks ago,
Oh, my gosh.
I laid out a detailed
By the
plan.
way, he just went up 30% in
in
the
writing.
market.
It was endorsed
He went
by
from
the UN
32
Security Council,
32 cents to
the
44 cents.
G7. That framework is now agreed on by both Israel and Hamas. So I sent my team
He's
in
not
the
leaving,
region
people.
to hammer out the details.
He's not leaving.
These are difficult, complex issues. There's still gaps to close.
What he's
We're
doing right
making
now,
progress.
he's bending over to
trend
the
is
deep
positive.
state and saying,
And I'm determined to get this deal done and bring an end to this war, which should end now.
Clap.
Let me conclude where I began.
You conclude.
We're the United States of America. We are the indispensable nation.
He's been
Our
talking
leadership
for 5
matters.
minutes.
Our partnerships matter. This moment matters. We must rise to meet it.
Horseshoes matter. Do horseshoe socks wear matter?
I'll take your questions. I've been given a list of people to call on here. Reuters, Jeff Mason.
I don't think you were supposed to do that, Joe. I don't think you were supposed to say that.
Mr. President, your political future has hung over the NATO summit a little bit this week. Speaker Pelosi made a point of suggesting that your decision on whether to stay in the race was still open. George Clooney and a handful of lawmakers have called on you to step aside. Reuters is reporting tonight that UAW leadership is concerned about your ability to win.
UAW just endorsed me, but go ahead.
Thank you. My question for you is, how are you incorporating these developments into your decision to stay? And separately, what concerns do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
But you think she fell out of a coconut tree?
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be Vice President.
No, Vice President
but
Trump.
I think she was not qualified to be
Clip
president.
Clip it.
Let's start there.
Clip it right now. Clip it from here so that when it goes viral, it has my ugly face.
The fact is that
I'm going to go do it myself.
The consideration
Vice President Trump
is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again.
Well, that's like saying that the
Secondly,
Montreal Canadiens
the
beat
idea,
the Maple Leafs once.
I served in the Senate a long time.
The
idea that senators and congressmen running for office worry about the ticket is not unusual. And I might add, there are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have now.
I'm going to go in for the whisper.
Later in the campaign.
Later in the campaign.
So there's a long way to go in this campaign. And so I'm just going to keep moving. Keep moving.
If I can.
And because, look, I got more work to do. We got more work to finish. There's so much, we made so much progress. Think about it. Think about where we are economically relative to the rest of the world.
I really mean it.
Name me a world leader who wouldn't want to trade places with our economy. We've created over 800,000 manufacturing jobs, 1.5 million. I mean, so things are moving. We got more to go. Working class people still need help. Corporate greed is still at large. Their prices, the corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. They're coming down. And so I'm optimistic about where things are going. Danny Kemp, AFP.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask you about your, you mixed up Presidents Zelensky and Putin earlier today. And you now have sort of your key allies, including the British Prime Minister, the President of France, and the German Chancellor having to step in and make excuses for you on that. Officials here are saying off the record that your decline has become noticeable. Hasn't this now, frankly, become damaging for America's standing in the world?
Did you see any damage to our standing in my leading this conference?
I don't understand what you just said.
Have you seen a more successful conference?
I haven't understood.
What do you think? And the Putin piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, here, I mean, Putin. I said, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky. And then I added 5 other names. Look, guys.
Look, come on.
The idea that anybody suggests that we haven't had an incredibly successful conference. How many times did you hear in that conference, I know it sounds too self-serving, but other leaders, heads of state, in thanking me, saying the reason we're together is because of Biden, because Biden did the following. Look, folks, this is well, anyway.
Anyway,
conference I've attended a long time.
What the hell?
And find me a world leader who didn't think it was. Next one.
Maybe he meets
Nancy Cordes, CBS.
Thank you, Mr. President.
This is a
you
disaster.
Mentioned other instances in history where presidents have faced a challenge. But what makes this moment in history so unique is that it is not your enemies who are calling on you to reconsider your decision to stay in the race. It's your friends, supporters, people who think you've done a great job over the past 4 years.
They don't think you did
Have
a
you
great
spent
job.
time thinking about what it would mean for your legacy, which you've worked decades to build, if you stay in the race?
A legacy of racism,
despite the concerns that
sexual
voters say
assault.
they
Yeah,
have,
that's one hell of a
and
legacy.
you lose to someone who you yourself have argued is unfit to return to the Oval
Vice
Office.
President Trump.
Well, look, I'm not in this for my legacy.
Bullshit.
I'm in this to complete the job I started.
I'm in this for the deep state.
As you recall,
I'm in this for
understandably,
Obama.
many of you and many economists thought my initial initiatives that I put forward, can't do that, it's going to cause inflation, things are going to skyrocket, the debt's going to go up. What are you hearing now?
What are you hearing now?
From mainstream economists?
Whisper pervert. Whisper.
16 economic Nobel laureates.
Oh yeah, 16.
Said I've done a hell of a job.
Oh yeah, all of them.
And under my plans so far and what's going to happen in the future.
Here's my assessment of his body language. I'm gonna
things are going to get
I'm gonna
much
write this down.
better.
They're going to
Our
get better.
economy's growing.
Promise
I
the
was
future.
determined when I got elected
Promise the future.
to stop the trickle-down economic
Whispers
theory.
when he's lying.
That if the wealthy did very well, everybody else would do well. My dad was a well-read, decent guy. I don't remember much trickling down on his kitchen table.
Your dad was 80
Middle-class
years ago.
people and
Before
working-class
Reagan.
people need help. And so what happened is I decided to implement, was able to implement as president, what I believed when I was a senator. And that is that the way to build this economy is from the middle out and the bottom up.
Oh, we heard that before.
That way we grow the economy.
Middle out
And
and
the
the
wealthy
bottom
still
up.
do very well.
What does he
They
think
do
this is
fine.
like?
And guess what?
Guess what? Guess what?
Find me an economist, mainstream economist,
I
who
really
said we
mean
haven't done well. What have we not done that isn't working right now? And so we got more to do, though. We got to finish the job.
Finish the job. Finish
And
it.
by the way, I come from the corporate state of the world.
Yeah. but-
Delaware has more corporations registered in Delaware than every other state
Yeah,
in
check that.
the
That might not be
nation
true anymore,
combined.
Joe.
I'm not anti-corporate, but corporate profits have doubled since the pandemic. Doubled. It's time things get back in order a little bit. It's time, for example, if I'm reelected, we're going to make sure that rents are kept at 5% increase. Corporate rents for apartments and the like homes are limited to 5%. We're going to make a lot of changes that I've been talking about because we're going to continue to grow this economy. And by the way, I
really
know,
mean it.
remember how I got so roundly criticized for being so pro-union, not labor, union. Well, guess what? I've been the most pro-union labor president in history. Not a joke.
Not a joke.
Guess what?
I really mean it.
We had the Treasury Department do a
really
study.
did.
When unions do better, everybody does better.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah,
does better. And we talk about how, for example, remember when we talked about getting the computer chip industry back in the United States? Used to be 40% of the industry. We invented the chip. 40% of the industry was in the United States. And former presidents decided that the best way to do it is find the cheapest labor in the world, send the product over there and import what the product was. And so what did I do? I was told not to go over to Europe. I mean, to Asia, including Europe, but Asia.
Including
I remember
Europe?
going to
Dude, they're
South
on different
Korea,
fucking continents.
convincing them to invest $20 billion in the United States to build
Holy
computer
shit.
chip factories. And I asked why when they finally decided to do it. And the answer was because you have the safest economy in the world, and you have the best workers in the world. So the whole idea here is we've invested, there's over $50 billion in investment in computer chip
I'm
manufacturing,
going to tell
just
you what
coming
this
into
was.
being.
I'm just going to take a note.
None of you thought that would happen.
None of you
None of you
thought
thought
that would happen.
But it's happening.
It's happening.
It's happening.
It's happening right now.
It's going to grow economies.
Yeah.
All through, and by the way,
Yeah,
red
by the way,
states and blue states.
I really mean it.
Matter of fact, there's as much in red states as in blue states. I've made no distinction. So my generic point is that the idea
Flagellation for the
that
deep state.
we can't continue to build and grow the economy, make it fair. Like I said, from my standpoint,
I really mean it.
when the middle class does well,
Middle up, bottom down.
that's when the whole economy grows.
Middle
Poor of
up,
a shot, the wealthy do
middle
well.
out,
The
bottom up.
wealthy got to start paying their taxes.
No follow
Vice
up.
President Kamala Harris would be ready to serve on day one. Can you elaborate on that? What is it about her attributes
Kill
and
her.
her accomplishments
Take her
over
out.
the last 4 years
There
that
were no
make her
follow-ups,
ready to
Biatch.
serve
Did you
on
not
day
read
one
the
if
rules?
necessary?
No follow-ups.
First of all, the way she's handled the issue of freedom of women's bodies to have control over their bodies. Secondly, her ability to handle almost any issue on the board. This was a hell of a prosecutor.
Hell of a prosecutor.
She was a first-rate
She put
person,
marijuana
and in the
offenders
Senate
in
she
jail.
was really good.
Yeah, it was really good.
I wouldn't have picked her unless I thought she was qualified to be president.
Yeah, except I picked black
the very
people because
beginning.
they're black, and
I made no bones
and
about it.
Kamala because she's Kamala.
She is qualified to be president.
He might have made a
That's
bone
why I
about
picked
it.
her.
Now shut up and don't ask a follow-up.
Felicia Schwartz, Financial Times.
Felicia Schwartz, Financial Times.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Presidency is the most straining job in the world, and it's 24/7. How can you say you'll be up for that next year, in 2 years, in 4 years, given the limits you've acknowledged that you have today?
Can you come to my hotel?
The
tonight?
limits I've acknowledged I have.
Yeah, that you don't go do presses
There's been
after 8
reporting
o'clock.
that you've acknowledged that you need to go to bed earlier and your evening around 8.
That's not true.
Oh, okay, so stay up.
Look.
Oh, that's why he pushed the
What I
press
said
button.
was,
Oh my goodness, this is a
instead of
deceitful
my
scoundrel.
every day starting at 7 and going to bed at midnight, it'd be smarter for me to pace myself a little more. And I said, for example, the 8, 7, 6 stuff, instead of starting a fundraiser at 9 o'clock, start at 8 o'clock. People get to go home by 10 o'clock. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about.
what I'm talking
And if you
about.
look at my schedule since I made that stupid mistake in the campaign, in the debate, I mean, my schedule has been full bore.
What?
I've done, where's Trump been? Riding around in his golf cart, filling out his scorecard before he hits the ball?
Yeah, because he's not
I mean,
president. He
look,
can kick your ass at golf.
He's
biatch.
done virtually nothing.
Yeah, virtually, but he's done.
And
more
I
than
have,
you.
I don't know how many, don't hold me to it, roughly 20 major events. Some with thousands of people showing up.
Some with thousands of people. Oh my
So,
God. Some.
I just
not
think
all.
it's better. I always have an inclination, whether I was playing sports or doing politics, just to keep going, not stop. I just got to just pace myself a little more. Pace myself. And the next debate, I'm not going to be traveling into 15 time zones a week before.
Hold on a second. 15.
Anyway,
zones.
that's what
Anyway,
it was about.
How many
That's
time
what it was
zones
about.
are there in the world?
And by the way, even with that, I love my staff, but they add things all the time. At the very end, I'm catching hell from my wife.
There's
for that. Anyway,
Anyway. Clip it.
Um,
Anyway. Let me read. Can I read?
I'm sorry, Zeke Miller, Associated Press.
AP. Oh,
Thank you,
this
Mr.
is
President.
gonna be good.
Two questions for you. First, on the NATO summit, President Zelensky, in your meeting with him, he pressed you to lift your limitations on the Ukrainian use of American weapons, saying that, in his public remarks afterwards, saying that Ukraine cannot win the war unless those limitations are lifted.
Yeah,
Are you
gotta
reconsidering your
facilitate the
position on
triggering
that?
of Article 5.
And then secondly, following up on Felicia's question there,
You're
leaders
old.
of your own party have said that they're not worried about that debate. They're worried about the next bad night and the bad night after that. How can you reassure the American
He
people
did the smile again. He
that
did the
you are
smile
up to
again.
the task and that there won't be more bad nights at a debate stage or somewhere else?
Have that man killed.
First thing, Zelensky asking for the ability to strike deep into Russia.
Yeah, you've already granted that.
We have allowed Zelensky to use American weapons
To strike
in
into
the
Russia.
near term, in the near abroad, into Russia.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Whether or not
I'm the
he
smartest
has,
man on earth.
he should be attacked. For example, should Zelensky, he's not. If he had the capacity to strike Moscow,
With a nuclear
strike
weapon.
the Kremlin, would that make sense?
No.
It wouldn't. Question is, what's the best use of the weaponry he has? The weaponry we were getting to him.
What the fuck
I've
is
gotten
he
a
talking
more
about?
I got a more long range capacity, as well as defensive capacity.
But he can't use it to strike
And so
Moscow.
our military is where I'm following the advice of my commander in chief, the
Your
chief
wife?
of staff of
Your
the
wife?
military, as well as
Your
the
son.
Secretary of Defense and our intelligence people.
The crackhead.
And we're making a day-to-day basis on what they shouldn't go, how far they should go in.
Go. Yeah.
It's a logical thing to do.
You don't want to go in too
Second
deep.
question related to
Bad nights, sir. How can you reassure the American people that you won't have more bad nights, whether they be on a debate stage or it's a matter of foreign policy?
well, I tell you what,
I'll tell you what. I really mean it.
The best way to assure them is the way I assure myself. And that is, am I getting the job done?
Well, you're getting
am I getting the job done?
Yeah.
Can you name me somebody who's got more major piece of legislation passed in 3.5 years? Created 2,000 jobs just last week.
2,000 jobs.
If I slow down, I can't get the job done. That's a sign that I shouldn't be doing it.
I don't know what you
There's
just
no
said.
indication of that yet.
No understanding of what he just said. He created 2,000 jobs last week.
What we got here?
Al Jazeera. Can you read, you buffoon? He can't read a fucking paper.
Pulaski Radio.
Pelosi.
Thank you, Mr. President. How are you?
I'm well.
Smile.
The elections in the US have consequences around the world. You have pretty high standing in Europe. I just asked President Macron about you, and he said we are happy to have him as the President of the United States. But there is a concern. Many people in Poland and across Europe are worried that the former president may win the election. And there's a lot of concern that Donald Trump may weaken NATO, stop supporting Ukraine, or push Ukraine to give up territories to Russia.
They're correct.
And yourself was warning just 2 minutes ago about it.
Can't even understand what
So my question is, do you think that Europe will be left on its own?
Smile.
If Donald Trump wins the election?
1.
And
Smile,
what's
Joe.
your advice to European leaders to prepare for possible U.S. disengagement?
Oh, disengage.
Well, look.
Ooh, that's notes.
I think, how can I say this without
sounding
what? Too self-serving.
Oh, so you mean running for yourself?
Not had any of my European allies come up to me and say, Joe, don't run.
Joe, don't run.
What I hear them say is, you've got to win. Can't let this guy come forward.
Holy, I don't know.
Be disaster.
What did he just say? Ow.
Be disaster.
What did he just say?
I mean, I think he said in one of his rallies, don't hold me to this recently.
Yeah, we won't hold you to
NATO,
anything,
I
Joe.
just learned about NATO or something to that effect. Foreign policy has never been his strong point.
Yeah, no, he hasn't been talking about defunding
He seems
NATO
to have an
since
affinity
2016,
to people
you
who are
dumbass.
authoritarian. That worries, as I tell you, from Poland, that worries Europe. That worries Poland. And nobody, including the people of Poland, think that if he wins in Ukraine, he's going to stop in Ukraine.
No, he's
That's
gonna
going to be the end of it.
It's the world.
And so,
It
what I
took
can
him
say is,
2 years to get Ukraine.
I think
He'll
I'm the
get
best
the world.
qualified person to do the job, to make sure that Ukraine does not fall, that Ukraine succeeds,
Oh shit!
that the European alliance stays strong. You may recall,
Yeah, we're gonna have a very,
no one
very
was talking
colorful
about Finland
and
joining NATO.
swear word infested
I remember talking to
analysis
Putin
in about 5
when
minutes.
right after we got elected in
Just looking at the
Geneva,
markets.
and he was talking about what we should do. We couldn't be in Eastern Europe, etc. And I said, you're looking for the Finlandization of Ukraine, but you can get the NATOization of Finland. And about 4 weeks later, I got a call. No, that's not true.
I did it.
Probably 5 months later, from the president of Finland, could he come and see me in my office? I invited him to the Oval Office. We sat down and talked. He said he wanted to join NATO. Could I help? And I did. It wasn't automatic. And then I got a call from the Swedes.
Oh, hold on. What did he say?
I beg your pardon?
Say it. Say it. Let's hear it. Say it and let's hear it.
And so Finland.
Oh shit! If
joined
anyone's
NATO,
in there, this is the moment that's going to go viral.
significant. And they were already allies, but they weren't part of NATO. And you heard, I think you heard, maybe I can't recall whether he said it publicly in our closed meeting, but he wouldn't mind being repeated. He said, we decided in Finland, the people of Finland decided they had to be part of NATO. It was in our interest because of the joint ability to be together, to dissuade any attack on Finland.
To be together.
And the same thing with Sweden. Took a lot of selling to some folks, particularly in Turkey and other places, to agree to the expansion. but it expanded. And we're a hell of a lot stronger because of it. We're more secure because of it.
Remember, by the
And
way,
by the way,
Trump is
I
the
was
guy
able
who
to get 50 other nations,
50 other
50,
nations.
50, to support Ukraine. 50.
50.
We were able to bring about a coalition of Europe and Asia, Japan and South Korea. I just we talked about AUKUS, and we talked about the relationship between Australia, New Zealand,
He's going to cut it
Japan,
after this. It's going to be
South
over
Korea,
after this.
the United States. We're making the world safer and stronger because we have to deal with the new arrangement that exists in the world. The Cold War is over. The post-war era is over. What is going to replace it? And I respectfully suggest I have a pretty good idea what that should be. I convinced a lot of people to follow it. We're just going to get stronger.
He just said it. We're done. We're done because you got
David Sanger.
Ooh, David Sanger.
Where's it?
The post-war, the Cold War is over.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Be nice, David.
Mr. President, the NATO declaration that was issued yesterday was very notable because it described China as a decisive enabler of the war in Ukraine for its provision of critical goods to the Russians. That's part of a broader partnership that seems to have cemented in place in the past 2 or 3 years. I think one that you were a little bit doubtful of when we asked you about it some time ago. So I'd be interested to know whether you have a strategy now of trying to interrupt the partnership between China and Russia, and whether or not in a second term you would pursue that, if you could describe that strategy to us. And along the way, could you also tell us whether you think, just to follow up on Felicia's question, that if you were in a room with Vladimir Putin again, the way you were 3 years ago, or with President Xi, that a few years from now you will be able to go negotiate with them, handle them one-on-one?
Well, here's the thing. President Xi
the first part of the
identifies
question
as
is,
a he.
we discussed and I raised in the NATO summit, and others raised, the future of China's involvement, what they're going to do. What they're doing with Russia in terms of accommodating, facilitating, they're getting access to additional, they're not supplying weapons themselves, they're supplying mechanisms for them to be able to.
Sorry, I had too much garlic with
And
dinner.
China's position is basically, and I've spent more time with Xi Jinping than any world leader has.
Oh, he said his name right.
Over 90 hours since being
Sell,
vice president.
sell.
For real. And by the way, I handed all my notes. But my point is that she believes that China is a large enough market that they can entice any country, including European countries, to invest there in return for commitments from Europe to do A, B, C, or D, or not to do certain things. What's happened is we had a long discussion about what we cannot, you have to make clear, China has to understand that if they are supplying Russia with information and capacity, along with working with North Korea and others to help Russia in armament, that they're not going to benefit economically as a consequence of that by getting the kind of investment they're looking for. And so, for example, we're in a situation where we've reestablished direct contact with China after that. Remember the balloon, quote unquote, going down?
It was a balloon. Just tell us about it.
Well, we set up a new mechanism. There's a direct line between Xi and me, and our military has direct access to one another, and they contact one another when we have problems. The issue is that we have to make sure that she understands
Who's her?
there's
She?
a price to pay for undercutting both the Pacific Basin as well as Europe.
What's that price?
As it
Just tell me.
relates to
Tell me
Russia and
what is
dealing
that
with
price?
Ukraine.
Follow-up question. What's
And
that
so
price? I'm done. We're done. We gotta
for
go
example,
home. For example.
if you want to invest in China, as you know this
By the way,
area
just go
really
through
well.
this and clip it.
If you want to invest in
for
China,
for
you have to have a 51% Chinese owner, You have to make sure that you do by their rules, and you don't have the authority, and you have to provide all access to all the data and information you have.
Yeah.
There was a while there, as you recall, the last administration and other administrations, where the access to that market was enticing enough to get companies to come in because they had access to over 1 billion people in a market, not 1 billion, but a lot of people in the market.
not the number I just
So they were
said.
doing it. But that got curtailed when we started saying we're going to play by the same rules. For example, the idea they don't abide by the international rules related to subsidizing products by the government funding. So guess what?
For example,
They're not going to be able to export their electric vehicles to the United States without a significant tariff.
Oh, a tariff.
Others are doing the
That
same
sounds
thing
like-
around
that
the
sounds like
world.
something Trump said.
But it is a concern. It is a concern that you have both China, North Korea, Russia, Iran, countries that are not necessarily coordinated in the past, looking to figure out how they can have impact.
That impact?
Yes, I do, but I'm not prepared to talk about the detail of it in public.
Because I don't remember.
And I think you'll see that
Oh, he's promising stuff for the future. It's amazing.
some of our European friends are going to be curtailing their investment in Russia. In China.
Get your shit together,
As long
Joe.
as China continues to have this indirect help to Russia in terms of being able to help their economy as well as,
Sir, may I just ask you,
help them
what
in
the
as
fuck
a
did you
consequence
just
of
say?
that, their ability to fight in Ukraine.
Ukraine.
The other thing that we
Asia,
talked a lot
Japan,
about
Israel.
is that, and I raised it, and I didn't hear any. I can't swear that everyone agreed because not everybody got to talk about it. But we need a new industrial policy in the West. For example,
I mean,
we talked about
literally
how
just said
both
that.
the EU
as
well as NATO has to be able to begin to build their own munition capacity, has to be able to generate their own capacity to provide for weapons and the ability to, it came as a surprise to some of us how we had fallen behind in the West in terms of the ability to construct new material, new weaponry, new everything from vehicles to weapon systems. And so one of the things that came out of this was we're going to be meeting again with a number of my colleagues, my European colleagues, is what do we do to increase the capacity of the West, particularly in Europe and Japan, to be able to generate the kind of ability to produce their own weapon systems. Not just for themselves, but to be able to generate that. It's the same, it's what Russia's trying to figure out. That they went to China and they didn't get the weapons, but then they went to North Korea. But we're going to be in a position where the West is going to become the industrial base for it to be able to the ability to have all the defensive weapons that we need. That was a discussion.
Now, that's it. I got to go to bed. I'm told I have to go to bed right now.
Be ready to go deal with Putin and Xi 2 or 3 years from now.
Sir.
I'm ready to deal with them now and 3 years from now.
You don't get Look, for example, I really mean it.
Like I said, I'm dealing with Xi right now.
Yeah, Jill's
direct contact with him. I have no good reason to talk to Putin right now.
No good reason.
There's not much that he is prepared to do in terms of accommodating any change in his behavior.
Because he's murdering you.
And but there isn't any world leader I'm not prepared to deal with.
Except
Putin. But I
one that can lead
understand
us to the
the
World War
generic
III.
point is Putin ready to talk? I'm not ready to talk to Putin.
He's winning the
Unless
war, you
Putin's ready to
dumbass. He
change
doesn't
his
need to
his
talk to
behavior.
you. Oh, unless you
The
change.
idea, look,
I really mean it.
Putin's got a problem.
Oh yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
First of all, in this war that he is supposedly have won, By the way, I think, don't hold me to the exact number, but
Don't hold me. I really mean it.
Russia had 17.3% of Ukraine that they conquered. Now it's 17.4. I mean, in terms of percentage of territory. They've not been very successful. They've caused horrible damage, loss of life, but they've also lost over 350,000 troops, military, killed or wounded. They have over 1 million people, particularly young people with technical capability, leaving Russia because they see no future there. They've got a problem. But what they do have control of is they are very good at controlling and running the public outcry that relates to how they use mechanisms to communicate with people. They lie like hell to the constituencies.
A lot of confession.
They lie like hell about what's going on.
Okay.
And so the idea that
For example,
we're going to be able to fundamentally change Russia in the near term is not likely. But one thing for certain, if we allow Russia to succeed in Ukraine,
they'll conquer
we're not
the
stopping
world.
Ukraine.
No,
I recommend, I know you know this because
Yeah, they're going for the
you've written about
entire
it.
world.
Read Putin's speech after they moved in, what it was all about in Kyiv. It wasn't about just, anyway, read what his objective is.
Anyway.
But so I think that
I really mean
I'm
it.
prepared to talk to any leader who wants to talk.
For example,
including if Putin called me and wanted to talk. Last time I talked to Putin was
He
trying
said,
to
"I'm
get him to
kicking your
work
ass."
on an arms control agreement related to nuclear weapons in space. That didn't go very far.
Yeah, don't worry. The nuclear
So my point
weapons in
is,
space
I'm
is
prepared to
not the
talk to
issue.
anybody, but I don't see any inclination. There is an inclination on the part of the Chinese to keep in contact with me because they're not sure where this all goes.
No, because they own
And look
a
what's
ton
happened
of
in
shit
Asia.
on you, Biden.
We have strengthened the Asian Pacific area more than anybody else has. We just put together with today. I brought on. I asked our NATO allies.
Well, anyway,
that we bring on a group from the South Pacific.
Well, anyway,
Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Australia. I already mentioned Australia.
Yeah, he's
and I
doing
met
great.
twice now, I think, with the 14 leaders of the Pacific Island nations.
Jesus, hell. This
And
is
we've
terrible.
slowed down what's going on there. We've slowed down China's reach. But there's a lot of work to do. This is a moving target.
I really mean it.
And I don't take it lightly.
I really mean it. And I'm done. I'm done.
Sam from NPR.
Thank you, Mr. President. Asma Khalid with NPR. I have two questions. Earlier, you spoke about the ceasefire plan between Israel and Hamas. We're now looking at 10 months of war, and I'm curious if there's anything that you feel personally you wish you would have done differently over the course of the war. And then secondly, if I may, I wanted to ask you about your presidential campaign. I remember covering your campaign in 2020, and there was a moment where you referred to yourself as a, quote, bridge candidacy, a transition to a younger generation of leaders. I want to understand what changed.
Two things. Let's go back to when you talked about would I have changed anything that's happening with Israel and
He remembered the first question. He's fit for
The
presidency.
answer is, you
people.
recall, from the very beginning, I went to Israel, but I also got immediate contact with Al-Sisi in Egypt. I met with the
Well, you got Egypt,
King
and
of Jordan.
not Mexico.
I
Good for
met
him.
with most of the Arab leaders.
No, he just lost it.
To try to get a consensus going as to what had to be done to deal with getting more aid and food and medicine into the Gaza Strip. And
I think he
pushed
just
it really
got
hard.
confused there.
And Israel occasionally was less than cooperative, number one. The Israeli war cabinet, I've been dealing with Israel since Golda Meir. Some of the reporters around here cover me all the time have heard me say this. The first time I met with Golda Meir, I sat across from her at her desk, and her
Holy
assistant
hell.
was Rabin sitting next to me.
He met the
That's how far
dinosaurs.
back I go. I
Yeah,
know
that's-
Israel well, and I support Israel. But this war cabinet is one of the most conservative war cabinets in the history of Israel. And there's no ultimate answer other than a two-state solution here. And so what was able to be done in terms of the plan I put together was it would be a process for a two-state solution.
Yeah, what's that
And
process?
we get the Arab nations to, particularly from Egypt all the way to Saudi
hear
Arabia,
it.
to be in a position where they would cooperate in the transition so that they could keep the peace in Gaza.
You said nothing.
Without Israeli forces staying in Gaza. The question has been from the beginning, what's the day after in Gaza? And the day after in Gaza has to be, the end of the day after has to be no occupation by Israel on the Gaza Strip, as well as the ability for us to access, get in and out as rapidly as you can, all that's needed there. I've been disappointed that some of the things that I've put forward have not succeeded as well, like the port reattached from Cyprus.
Oh,
I was hopeful that would be more
Was it 24
successful.
million or 240 million?
That's why when I went to Israel immediately after the massacres that occurred at the hands of Hamas, the one thing I said to the Israelis, and I met with the war cabinet and with Bibi, don't make the same mistake America made after bin Laden. There's no need to occupy anywhere. Go after the people who did the job. You may recall, I still get criticized for it.
Go after the
I
people
was
who
totally
did the job.
opposed to the occupation and trying to unite Afghanistan. Once we got bin Laden, we should have moved on, because it was not in our. No one's ever going to unite that country. I've been over every inch of that, not every inch, the entirety from the poppy fields all the way to the north.
Poppy fields.
So don't make the same mistake we made. Don't think that's what you should be doing, is doubling down. We'll help you find the bad guys, Sinwar and company. And all this criticism about I wouldn't provide when the weapons they needed. I'm not providing 2,000-pound bombs. They cannot be used in Gaza or any populated area without causing great human tragedy and
Unless
damage.
it's Russia.
But remember what happened when you had the attack on Israel with rockets and ballistic missiles. I was able to unite the Arab nations as well as Europe, and nothing happened. Nothing got hurt. It sent an incredible lesson to what was going on from the Middle East. So there's a lot of things, in retrospect, I wish I had been able to convince the Israelis to do. But the bottom line is we have a chance now. It's time to end this war. Doesn't mean walk away from going after Sinwar and Hamas. And if you notice, you know better than most, there is a growing dissatisfaction on the West Bank from the Palestinians about Hamas. Hamas is not popular.
He's going to whisper. He's going to whisper again.
And so there's a lot of moving parts. I just have to keep moving to make sure that we get as much done
George
as we can.
Clooney's going to retract his.
Ceasefire and get those. And by the way, look at the numbers.
I really mean it.
In Israel. I mean, my numbers are better in Israel than they are here. But then again, they're better than a lot of other people here too. But
My
anyway.
numbers are better in Israel than they are here. Expect that not to be used against them in the future.
Candidacy in 2020, you referred to yourself as being a bridge candidate
My
for a
numbers
younger,
are better in Israel than they
fresher
are
generation
here.
of Democratic leaders, and I wanted to know what changed.
What changed was
Trump.
The gravity of the situation I inherited.
There you go. Well, I'm
in
right.
terms of the economy, our foreign policy, and domestic division. And I think, I won't put words in anybody's mouth.
But I'm going to.
Most presidential historians give me credit for having accomplished more than most any president since Johnson and maybe before that to get major pieces of legislation passed. And what I realized was my long time in the Senate had equipped me to have the wisdom to know how to deal with the Congress.
40
to
years.
get things done.
How long was he in the Senate for?
We got more major legislation passed that no one thought would happen. And I want to finish it, to get that finished.
He was
If
elected.
tomorrow,
He was
if you-
elected to
if
the
we
Senate
had a
in
circumstance where
1972.
there was a lineup, and I hadn't inherited what I did, and we just moved things along. Anyway, it's going to change.
Anyway.
Last question.
How many questions you get, lady?
Haley Bull, Scripps. Or no, Josh Weingrove. I'm sorry. was the next one. I'll do 2 more questions.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So I got to sniff.
Many of your colleagues, Democrats on the Hill, are watching tonight as they assess what they want to say about your candidacy. I'm wondering how you're thinking of this right now. It seems like your answer is clear, but they're watching how things go tonight, tomorrow in Michigan, next week in Texas and Nevada. Are you thinking that way about whether how the next week or 2 goes would inform your
Am I using that way?
Are you thinking that way about how the next 2 weeks go? Will that affect your decision, or are you fully determined on running in November as the party's nominee?
I'm determined on running, but I think it's important that I allay fears by let them see me out there. Let me see them out. You know, for the longest time it was, you know, Biden's not prepared to sit with us unscripted. Biden's not prepared.
Yeah, we still say that. Anyway.
And so
but I really
what I'm doing is, and I've been doing, I think we've done over 20 major events from Wisconsin to North Carolina.
If this gets any more lively, a funeral's going to break out.
Demonstrate that I'm going out in the areas where we think we can win, where we can persuade people to move our way, or people are already there. And then look, the other thing is, we have the most extensive campaign organization of anybody's had in a long, long time. We have well over 1,000 volunteers.
1,000?
Knocking on doors, making phone calls.
I hope you have
making
more than that. I
tens of
had 10 that I was running in West.
We have headquarters. I forget exactly how many. I don't want to.
I don't want to
cite
get in
a
trouble.
number.
Don't want to get in
And then
trouble.
find out I'm off. But
Yeah.
we have scores of headquarters in all the toss-up states. We're organized. We're moving, and that's awful hard to replace in the near term. And so, and here's the other thing. I was in the Senate a long time.
You've been in the Senate a long time.
Very proud of what I've done.
40 years. Yeah, you voted for that
I
crime
was
act.
chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee for a long time, and I was chairman or ranking member and chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I'm going to be going down to the Johnson Library.
Well, you're going to be going down to the Johnson Library already.
Anyway, I'm going to be going around making the case for the things that I think we have to finish and how we can't afford to lose
finish the job.
what we've done or backslide on civil rights, civil liberties, women's rights. There's that little button we have.
Yeah, the little button. But what button? What the hell are
Control
you talking
guns, not girls. I mean, the idea we're sitting around, this where Kamala's so good as well.
No, she's
We're
very
sitting
good.
around. More children
Oh, God, he's mad. He's
are
mad.
killed by a bullet
Oh, God, he's gotten mad.
than any other cause of death.
Oh, God, someone triggered him.
The United States of
Oh, God.
America.
Oh, God.
What the hell are we doing?
What? I don't know why you're
What are
yelling
we
at me.
doing?
I was sitting here.
You got a candidate saying, promise the NRA, don't worry, I'm not going to do anything.
Didn't understand a word you just said.
I'm not going to do anything. You got a Supreme Court that is
Passion.
what you might call the most conservative court in American history.
I call it corrupt.
This is ridiculous. There's so much we can do still. And I'm determined to get it done.
What the hell was
It's
that?
about
outburst?
freedom. And by the way,
And by the way, I really
I'll
mean
end
it.
this. Well, I'm not going to do that. Haley has to come up too.
What the hell are you talking about, Joe?
The
Haley has to come up.
I remember I made a speech on democracy in Philadelphia at Independence Hall. And I'm not being
Someone
critical,
clip that
just
last part, 'cause
observing.
that was wild. I'm
The
gonna
bulk
clip
of the
that right
press,
now.
what the hell are you talking about that for?
Dude, nobody knows what you're talking about right now.
You did. Democracy is not an issue. Democracy is not an issue. Except the polling data showed 60% of the people knew I was right, thought I was right. I'm not asking you a question. You don't have to answer, obviously. Do you think our democracy is under siege based on this court?
Yes.
Do you think democracy is under
Not
siege
based on
based
you.
on Project 2025?
No.
Do you think he means what he says when he says he's going to do away with the civil service, eliminate the Department of Education, make sure? I mean, we've never been here before. And that's the other reason why you say hand off to another generation. I've got to finish this job. Got to finish this job because there's so much at stake.
We've had some discussions over the past few days with your press secretary about the question of health exams. And you said you take a cognitive test every day in this job. Are you open to taking another physical or test before the election? Governor Whitmer of Michigan, for instance, said it wouldn't hurt to take a test.
Well, look, two things. One, I've taken 3 significant and intense neurological exams by a neurologist. in each case as recently as February. And they say I'm in good shape, okay? Although I do have a little problem with my left foot because it's not as sensitive because I broke my foot and didn't wear the boot. But I'm good. I'm tested every single day about my neurological capacity to do decisions I make every day. You talk to my staff, all of you talk to my staff. Sometimes my staff talks a lot. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think you have them telling you that all the major ideas we've undertaken haven't been in part initiated by me. I remember when the staff, I said, I'm going to go to South Korea. We're going to get the chip. What are you doing? I'm going to get Japan and Korea back together again after essentially having hostilities toward one another since the end of World War II. I'm going to move and see that we can expand it. You know, the only thing age does is help you with it. Creates a little bit of wisdom if you pay attention. And so the point I'm making is, I think it's important that
Sorry, I had to clip apart.
If the neurologist tells me he thinks I need another exam, and by the way, I've laid every bit of the record out. Hadn't hidden a thing. Don't ask Trump for his, okay?
Go, dude. We don't need to ask him for his. We can see it.
And every single day, I'm surrounded by good docs. If they think there's a problem, I promise you.
I promise you.
Or even if they don't think it's a problem, they think I should have a neurological exam again, I'll do it.
A neurological
exam.
exam.
That to me now.
I'll suggest it.
I'll
You need
ask
to do
another
it.
question.
I'll ask you another.
No matter what I did, no one's going to be satisfied. Did you have 7 docs? Did you have 2?
How about one neurological exam with an independent doctor?
I am not opposed if my doctors tell me I should have another neurological exam. I'll do it. But that's where I am.
That's it. I'm done.
Haley Bull, Scripps.
Mr. President.
He wants this
you
question.
said you're making decisions on a day-to-day basis when it comes to support for Ukraine. Does that mean you have not closed the door on further considering lifting restrictions for U.S.-made weapons inside Russia? And if I may, your convention is coming up where your delegates are pledged to make you the official nominee. If they have second thoughts, are they free to vote their conscience?
Obviously, they're free to do whatever they want, but I got overwhelming support. Overwhelming support. I won, I forget how many votes I won in the primary.
Oh, he forgot already.
And so tomorrow, if all of a sudden I show up at the convention, everybody says, we want somebody else, that's the democratic process.
All right. At the convention.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Trust me.
Sure. Look, I'll end this with this
Anecdote.
I served in the Senate a long time.
Served in the Senate? I didn't understand you, sir.
I understand the impetus of candidates running for local office.
Stay in the race, Joe. Stay in the race.
They can help them or not. In my state of Delaware, which was a very, at least a purple, it was a red state when I started, in terms of where you
in
now talk red and blue.
1992.
I don't recall most of the Democratic presidents winning my state.
You don't recall a lot.
The truth of the matter is, I understand the self-interest of every candidate.
What?
If they think that, running with Biden at the top is going to hurt them,
I didn't understand what you
then
said
they're
there
going to run
either.
away. I get it. But so far, go and look at the polling data.
Oh, we'll look at the
their
polling data.
states.
Now all of a sudden he trusts the
Look at
polling
the
data.
in-depth, and by the way, I think you'd all acknowledge, and you're all experts. I'm not being solicitous about the president. You're experts.
I didn't
in this.
understand anything. I'm not being solicitous.
How accurate does anybody think the polls are these days?
But you just relied on them, Joe.
I can give you a series of polls where you have likely voters, me versus Trump, where I win all the time. When the unlikely voters vote, he wins sometimes. The bottom line is all the polling data right now, which I think is premature because the campaign really hasn't even started. I mean, it hadn't started in earnest yet.
The campaign hasn't
Most of the time,
started?
it doesn't start till after September, after Labor Day. So a lot can happen.
A lot can happen.
But I think I'm the best I believe I'm the best qualified to govern.
I think I know I believe.
And I think I'm the best qualified to win. But there are other people who could beat Trump too. But it's awful start from scratch. And, you know, we talk about, money raised. We're not doing bad. We got about $220 million in the bank. We're doing well.
And that's my money.
So with that, you have any want to follow up?
What the hell is he hugging?
You just asked me.
What the hell is he hugging?
You earlier explained confidence in your vice president.
Yes.
If your team came back and showed you data that she would fare better against former President Donald Trump, would you reconsider your decision to stay in the race?
Because I don't believe it.
No, unless they came back and said, there's no way you can win. Me.
No one's saying that. No one's saying that. No poll says that. No poll says that.
Okay. Thank you.
This ends
Good
tonight's
night.
press conference.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
This concludes.
Nobody's saying that. Everybody's saying that.
Vice President Harris as Vice President Trump. Right now, Donald Trump is using that to mock your age and your memory. How do you combat that criticism from tonight?
Listen to him.
Just watch.
This concludes tonight's press conference. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everyone.
I feel dirty. I don't even know what happened. I feel dirty. And everyone's getting the hell out of there. I'll tell you what I'm doing. Just gonna wait. When we started talking, Biden was at what, like 30 cents? He's at 44 cents now. He's now officially doing better than Kamala. Oh, he's at 45 cents, and Kamala's at 44 cents. That's one hell of a swing, people. Hillary Clinton, where are you? Listen for a hot mic, by the way. We're going to hear something amazing. I just feel it. I feel it. Let me turn up my volume. We're listening. What are these people doing? Play the music. Oh, I don't need to get closer to the camera. I got the things on here. We're just going to listen for a few more seconds. That was painful and disgusting.
It's easier for me.
I pulled Aviva. Now that Rumble has grown, rank based on views.
Yeah. So,
We're gonna hear something.
getting through the barricades, but we'll figure that out. I think so. Yeah, exactly.
I am being summoned by children. Not yet. Close the door and get out of here. You what? All right. I'll give some final thoughts before we tune out for the evening, people. That was not an abject disaster. He stood on his feet. He actually took a lot more questions than I thought he was going to take. I was a little concerned when he only answered, when he spoke for 5 minutes, but then took damn near an hour, 45 minutes of questions. This is going to be my assessment. No, you don't want to say hi. This is politics. Close the door. This is my assessment. It will assuage the panicking Democrats. I'm going to scratch my face because I got an itch right there, not because I'm pulling a Biden. And look, let me tell you. All right, he's back to beating Kamala on the. Oh yeah, I can do this now. Check this out. Hold on, we'll do this. I actually believe that I have a mildly insightful final thought for the night as to what we just witnessed tonight. What we witnessed tonight, predict it. No, I can't bring that one up. That's not the right one. Oh, I got to go here. Window. Let me get it. Here we go. This is what we're witnessing right now in real time. Trump presidential nominee, we go here, Donald Trump. J.D. Vance is at 43 cents. And Doug Burgum has dropped off the cliff tonight. Joe Biden is now at 45 cents and 42 cents. Kamala was at over 50, and Biden was down to like, this thing is not accurate. So he has assuaged the panicking Hollywood tards, is what he's done. He has shown that he can stand on his feet and field the hard questions for a good 40 minutes. So, hey, it's past his bedtime. And he also clarified what he meant. I just need to pace myself, you know? Like I'm running a marathon. And I'm running a marathon as an 81-year-old senile man, not as a 29-year-old virulent athlete. Vigorous athlete. All right, doesn't matter. He can stand on his feet for an hour. He can not mix up Mexico and Egypt, which is fantastic. And he can take credit for everything that's gone well and blame everything that's gone wrong on Trump. That's the superficial analysis tonight, and I'm just going to keep checking the markets. My bottom line assessment of what we just witnessed, we witnessed a man reassuring the deep state he will continue to fight their filthy blood money, taxpayer money laundering wars. He's assured the deep state he's on board. I'll stay in Ukraine. We'll stay in the Middle East. We'll rebuild that $230 million port that fucking collapsed because a wave hit it. And we'll continue funding both sides of those wars. Israel's got a right to defend itself, but they can't cause too much damage. So here's some money for you for your Iron Dome, and here's some humanitarian relief for you. What we just witnessed right there was a public self-flagellation for the deep state. Russia is still on the table, man. He's going to go to war with Russia, that's for sure. Article 5, when they attack one, they attack all. And when Ukraine killed 2 Polish farmers back in 2023, and then they blamed it on Russia and they wanted us to invoke Article 5, that wasn't the right false flag. We'll make sure we get it right the next time. The repeated invocation of Article 5 in his speech, not in reality, is a bend over, spread the big boy butt cheeks to the big boy deep state and say, you can enter whenever you want. You own me. And I will capitulate to you, and you support me, and you get me in power, and we'll all be hunky-dory. Once I get reelected, once I secure the nomination, and if I get reelected, you can have your way with Kamala once I die in February 2025. That's what we just saw. We saw a total capitulation to the deep state and a reassurance of the military-industrial complex and war machine that is basically governing American politics. He's going to play ball, and don't fuck with him anymore. And George Clooney, you better have heard it. Because your career in Hollywood and your wealth, you thought you were FU money safe, George Clooney, you're an idiot. All of a sudden, you'll get investigated for taxes. You'll get investigated for Me Too, whatever the hell it is. George Clooney, you better shut your big, beautiful, handsome, sexy mouth. You shut that mouth and get on board, because Joe Biden has just bent over and twisted himself into a pretzel to pledge allegiance to the military-industrial complex. That's what we saw. All right. Other than that, flipping demented and just outright awful. Locals. Viva, can you pass on to Rumble Team? Now that Biden has grown, can we get a ranking of videos based on views? Says USA Now. I will certainly send it to them. We got a lot of... Okay, I'm going to do the tipped questions in locals. Ben was perfect. Oh, we're all the way down here. Let me see him. Someone getting married. Okay, Viva, get some tippage for your tech troubles. I'm a chief technology officer if you never need help. That is Lord Boffins. I'm going to screen grab that. This is what the demon who tried to destroy many lives by pressuring employers to fire people deserves. To go out in complete embarrassment, says Until is Empty. Spam Rager. Biden is leveraging polling data to politicize the Ukraine conflict against Trump. The detail is that a majority of Republicans oppose aid, but a majority of Americans support aid. So it's difficult for a candidate to both win the Republican nomination and win the general election. It's the same strategy that was used to break the red wave in 2022. Spam Ranger. Chubby Stubby, with the pre-selected reporters and questions, this is less of a press conference and more of a forced Biden rally with reporter hostages. We'll see from reports after how many are suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. Denis Santu, first time he met him? Denis Santu, who are the people saying these things, Joe? Are you having conversations in your head? Proof that we live in a simulation, says Doug Leafan. Doug Leafan says Eminem doesn't like people mentioning Haley. USA Now, $2 for the Rumble. USA Now, I pulled a Viva. Now the Rumble has grown. Rank based on views. LM Shuck 19, $1. Leaving that stage might be the fastest move he's made in 10 years. We got a new supporter. A monthly supporter is P. Moretti. Viva Q. This is Q. Roos Angel. Viva, you kept making me cry laughing. You were definitely the best part ever. Thank you. Stop it. Q, you can come in the back, dude. I'm not going to stop you at this point. Mighty Megatron says, stick a fork in it. He's done all. We don't need NATO. NATO needs our tax money, says Mighty Megatron. I got hairy legs, says Smokey Bear. 1940s movie. I can show these here. Let me just bring this up because I don't know. This kid just licked my hand. All right. Okay, we got all of these. So we got a P. Moretti. Ethan, is there food left? Nah, I'm not sure if there's food left for me. The pomp and circumstance of commies is chilling. 1940s movies, newsreel music. I got hairy legs. We don't need no NATO. NATO needs our tax money. I think we did it, people. Watch this one. You go to sleep now. Good. Oh, let's just see if we get a little air. Get out of here. On to. Okay. I'm going to stop the screen there and just make sure I haven't missed anything in.
Can I say bye?
You can say bye in a second. Hold on a second.
Hello.
Hello and goodbye. Is there food? You smell like good food. Hold on a second. Are we in the full? Oh, we are in the full screen. This is my boy. What? Get over here. Just do this. Just.
Where's Mike?
Well, I know the mic is here. No, the mic is not going to get. Oh yeah, get out of here.
Wait, where's Mike?
Right there on that camera. No, it's on the computer.
Okay.
We're gonna get a little ASMR. Hold on. Oh, do I show the trick tonight? Get your face out of here. Shh, 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 shh. Listen to this. Listen to this. It's my nose. I hit it on the bottom of a pool once, and it's still. Eat it. Quiet. Shh. Did everyone hear that? It clicks because I can crack it like that. All right, that was fantastic, people. Not an abject disaster. I think my prediction is going to come true. I still don't think it's going to be Joe Biden. Oh my goodness, how the markets changed. Kamala Harris has now again overtaken Joe Biden. Holy crab apples, people. Kamala Harris is back into the lead. So I still stand by my bet. I'm going to sell Joe Biden when he gets to about 60 cents. And then I think I'm going to tune out because I can't stand this anymore.
Joe, bye-bye.
All right, we're going to go to bed. Bed. Get out of here.
Bed?
We got to go to the hotel.
What? Bed?
Okay. I don't want to push you away.
What?
Everybody. Shh, shh. I also have to go walk a dog. I'm still betting Joe is going to hit 60 cents when everything calms down. I'm going to sell everything because I'm out of this. I'm out of this business. I'm not meant to do things that involve obsessive compulsive behavior. You understand you're on the internet right now.
I know.
Okay. We're done. We're done. Go. I got to go join the family.
I love you. I love
I'm going to end the stream.
I love
Everybody,
you.
I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll definitely see Rebel News on Friday. Good night. Bye-bye. Peace out, people.